February 27th. I'm Debbie Monterrey. A coalition of more than 100 organizations and leaders wants voters to approve a new sales tax to subsidize childcare in St. Louis City. More on that at 6:03.
I'm Megan Lynch. Another coalition reaching a free speech settlement with the St. Louis Public Schools. We'll have more on that.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. A sunny day today, a breezy, warmer afternoon, the high up to 75.
CBS News is next.
The trusted voice of St. Louis. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by JTV.com.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Today, Bill Clinton will become the first former president in more than 50 years to testify before Congress when he's questioned about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Yesterday, his wife, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, was deposed behind closed doors in New York for 6 hours. She spoke afterwards.
I don't know how many times I had to say I did not know Jeffrey Epstein. I never went to his island. I never went to his homes. I never went to his offices.
CBS's Allison Keyes.
The Clintons fought for months to avoid testifying before the House Oversight Committee about convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Now the former president is facing questions about his relationship with Epstein, whether Epstein was an asset for the U.S. government, and what he knows about other Epstein associates.
Neither Clinton is accused of wrongdoing. TSA agents will receive only partial paychecks today. Their next payday uncertain as a partial government shutdown drags on, with congressional Democrats balking at funding for Homeland Security. Union Vice President Angela Grana in Colorado.
We don't need a promise of a paycheck. We need a paycheck. We can't go to the bank with a promise.
It opens up the possibility of work slowdowns and sickouts at airports. Both the U.S. and Iran say yesterday's nuclear talks in Geneva were productive, but both sides are still preparing for war. Vice President J.D. Vance has weighed in.
Vance tells the Washington Post President Trump would prefer a diplomatic solution, but if he decides to strike militarily, Vance says there's no chance the U.S. will be dragged into a Middle Eastern war for years, as some foreign policy experts have warned. Earlier this week, Vance said,
"The principle is very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. If they try to rebuild a nuclear weapon, that causes problems for us."
Vance is scheduled to meet with Oman's foreign minister in Washington today to continue talks to find a deal with Iran. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
The world nuclear talks between the U.S. and Iran are expected to resume next week, but both sides prepping for war. Some Americans in Israel have been given permission to leave. Linda Gradstein reports from Jerusalem.
The Israeli press reported that Ambassador Mike Huckabee sent an email to U.S. Embassy staff saying that while there is no need to panic, if staffers and their families want to leave Israel, they should get a flight anywhere they can today.
World's largest aircraft carrier, USS Gerald R. Ford, is expected to arrive off the coast of northern Israel today. Now to the sex lives of our ancient ancestors. A new study finds hundreds of thousands of years ago, before they went extinct, many Neanderthal men took a shine to Homo sapien women. Result, most of us alive today carry a little bit of that Neanderthal DNA. This is CBS News.
Looking for spring jewelry looks? Find them at Jewelry Television. New customers get $20 off purchases of $99 or more at JTV.com.
At 6:03, we have partly cloudy skies, 38 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Megan Lynch.
And I'm Debbie Monterrey. A lesson in circadian rhythm. That's what's prompting St. Louis Public Schools to strongly consider its start times and changing them to a bit later in the morning for some students.
The schedule proposed for the 2026-27 school year would align more with adolescent circadian rhythms, moving from a start time as early as 7:15 a.m. to maybe 8 a.m. or 9:30 a.m. Cardinal Glennon pediatric sleep medicine specialist Dr. Brent Haberman tells KMOX teens need much more sleep than adults, 8 to 10 hours a night, and a later wake-up time would be a big help.
We think that that's very beneficial, and there's been lots of benefits that have been seen in the communities where they've pushed back the start times later.
Dr. Haberman says sleepiness in adolescence is delayed until late at night, often 11 p.m. or later. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
A citizen-led campaign wants a sales tax increase in St. Louis City to subsidize early child care. Best Start for Kids STL officially launches a signature petition campaign this weekend to try and place the measure on the November ballot. The coalition of more than 100 organizations is seeking a dedicated 1/2 cent sales tax in the city to support child care options. Campaign manager Mackenzie Grayson says some of the funding would go directly to families.
Providers will be able to have access to grants that will help them improve teacher pay. It will help them be able to offer benefits to their teachers. Also, to help them improve their learning environment.
Similar measures were approved by voters in California and Colorado communities last year. Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
In Festus, a consulting firm will help the city navigate its data center issue and negotiate an agreement with a developer. That's what the Festus City Council unanimously agreed upon last night, with Mayor Sam Richard saying Marks Nelson Advisors will help city leaders work out a deal with long-term benefits for the city and residents. That didn't sit well with a number of opponents.
About 100 people packed the council meeting and lobby, shouting questions and complaints and booing loudly after the 7-0 vote. Before the meeting, people protested along West Main Street with signs and banners. Erica Carter told the Post-Dispatch she feels the mayor is just steamrolling ahead, doing what he wants and not listening to citizens.
Family finding the body of an Army veteran 2 days after a house fire. 71-year-old Wayne Van's body was discovered during a house search Thursday night after fire destroyed the home in Wellston Tuesday night. According to KSDK, Mid-County Fire Protection District responding to the fire reportedly told family no one was inside the home.
Fire Chief Randall Sanders says firefighters were forced to evacuate the building after only 6 minutes due to a collapsed roof. The family says they were initially told cadaver dogs would be brought to search the residence, but Sanders says no dogs were available Wednesday. The family searched the home Thursday morning and say it took them minutes to locate Van's body.
Police locating a man accused of dragging an officer with his car during a traffic stop in Warrenton. 41-year-old Michael Caldwell of Truesdale is charged with multiple felonies, including second-degree assault. The Warrenton Police Department says their officers determined Caldwell was driving with a revoked or suspended license during a traffic stop on Tuesday morning.
After being prompted to exit the vehicle, Caldwell fled the scene, dragging the officer who had been standing at his door. Caldwell eventually abandoned the vehicle and escaped into a nearby wooded area. Warrenton Police Department announced Caldwell was taken into custody yesterday.
From the KMOX business desk, Clementine's expanding the reach of its ice cream. The St. Louis-based Micro Creamery has inked a partnership with Schnucks to carry 8 Clementine's flavors, yes, including gooey butter cake, at 30 stores across Missouri and Illinois starting next week. Currently, Clementine's has 11 ice cream parlors and ships nationally through Goldbelly.
Entering the consumer packaged goods market with Schnucks is part of Clementine's multi-year growth strategy. It's sparked by a new 25,000 square foot production facility that allows for production for up to 40 ice cream parlors, plus online orders and grocery deliveries.
It is now 6:08, and we'll take a look at traffic and weather, plus AI taking more jobs. We'll have the update on that next.
Dreaming of college but worried about the cost? The Together Foundation is here to help. The Together Foundation is awarding 5 $1,500 scholarships to St. Louis area students who are ready to take the next step toward their future. Applying is simple, but time is limited, as applications will be accepted through March 31st. Learn more or apply at togethercu.org/scholarship. That's togethercu.org/scholarship. This community message has been brought to you by Together Credit Union.
Hey, Cardinal Cowboy here. Who would have thought a car crash would have led to charities, TV shows, and cheering with the best fans in the world? I'm thankful for every day. And so are my friends at Renner Garage Door. They've been turning garage doors from zero to hero since 1966. With help from trusted brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster, honest family-style service you can count on. So giddy up and get your free repair or replacement quote today. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER. Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from
we can be twinsies
to
how was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZzzQuil Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly
on a Sunday night. ZzzQuil Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
It is 6:10. Let's see how things are rolling on the roads with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, so far so good, unless you're out west on Highway 70, Megan. The usual, well, not the usual, but this week it's been usual. Roadwork slowdowns or delays on eastbound Highway 70. It just looks a little busy around the Warrenton roundabout, and it is backed up through Wright City proper. And then again, you get out of the city limits, and it starts to pick up the pace, although it's still slow about midway into Forestell at that point. But after you get past there, you're wide open. And again, the rest of these construction zones, 55 down at Festus and north of Bayless, 270 between 64 and Ladue, 64 in the O'Fallon, Fairview Heights area. Everything's looking good for you in all those locations so far. So, again, lighter Friday traffic, so we'll hopefully not see a whole lot. But right now, just those delays out west on 70, the only thing that's an issue. Next update at 6:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Plenty of sunshine today, breezy and warmer this afternoon with a high of 75. Tonight will be mainly clear, low 40. Sunshine mixing with clouds tomorrow, not quite as warm. There could be a late day shower, high 66. Sunday, cloudy, breezy, much chillier, perhaps some rain toward evening, the high 45. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
We have clear skies and 36 degrees right now in downtown St. Louis.
Spring training rolling on for the Redbirds. I've got details of a win yesterday. That's coming up in sports.
It's now 6:12. A St. Louis-born tech empire is slashing its workforce in half, and the founder says artificial intelligence, AI, is the reason why.
Block's CEO and St. Louis native Jack Dorsey says he is cutting his company's headcount from over 10,000 to under 6,000. The company operates a corporate hub in downtown St. Louis, though it's not clear how many local workers are losing their jobs. There has been no layoff notice filed with the state of Missouri. Dorsey tells employees the massive cuts are the result of new AI intelligence tools that are now allowing the company to build and create with a fraction of the human workforce. He adds, quote, "I had two options, cut gradually over months or years as the shift plays out, or be honest about where we are and act on it now." Block stock closed up 5% at points in after-hours trading. It was up more than 20%. The graph showing a line straight up on the stock price. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
These systems are controlling every single aspect of our life. Every single day, someone will encounter some sort of intelligence that is interacting with them or dictating what they do or what they don't do with their day. And that's really, really scary when you realize that only 5 companies are building these tools, and they're building them in a very closed way.
St. Louis native Jack Dorsey sharing his fears about the dangers of AI at the Oslo Freedom Forum in 2024. He expressed concern about humanity coming to rely on these intelligence tools, as he calls them, not using the term artificial.
These 5 companies are building tools that we will all become entirely dependent upon. And because they're so complicated, we have no idea how to verify the correctness. We have no idea to verify how they work, what they're actually doing. And because we become so dependent on them, if you let just a few months or a few years go by, it becomes too late because those dependencies are so strong.
In his note to employees yesterday, Dorsey ended with, quote, "To those staying, I made this decision. I'll own it."
Ottawa Senators captain, St. Louis native, and Team USA gold medalist Brady Tkachuk is speaking out against an AI-doctored video posted by the White House. The video, shared on the official White House TikTok account, used artificial intelligence to make it sound like Tkachuk was cursing out Canadians after the U.S. won Olympic gold. The audio is not real.
They booed our national anthem, so I had to come out and teach those maple syrup eating a lesson. Canada, we own you, lil bro.
Returning to Ottawa, Tkachuk firmly denounced the clip, saying it was clearly fake and not his voice. He added he would never say anything like that, especially given his deep connection to the Canadian fan base. Quote, "It is not my voice. It's not what I was saying. I would never say that. That's not who I am. So I guess I don't like that video because that would never come out of my mouth and never had that thought." End quote.
It's now 6:14.
Grapefruit League play continued yesterday for the Redbirds. Yesterday afternoon at Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium, Matthew Liberatore started for the Cards. He became the first Card starter to make 2 starts in the spring, and he was sharp out of the gates.
Another pitch from Liberatore, swing and a miss, and down on strikes he goes. First strikeout for Libby. Now he has 5 on the spring so far. He had 4 in his first outing.
Mike Claiborne on the Cardinals on Cardinals.com. Liberatore pitched 3 innings and struck out 3. He gave up a run on 2 hits, and the Astros led 1-0 until Joel Pozo hit in the 4th.
Pozo awaits the next from Gordon. He turns on it, hits it high and deep to left field. Sullivan is back at the track, at the wall. That one is gone. It's a home run for Joel Pozo, his first of the spring, and the Cardinals have tied this game up. It's 1-1.
Astros regained the lead in the 5th, but the Cards had an answer again.
He waits. Here's the pitch. He lines one down the right field line. This has a chance to go. It is going. Alec Burleson with a home run right into the teeth of the wind in right field. There was no doubt about that ball. And the Redbirds have come back to take the lead 4-2.
So the Astros tied it in the 7th. You guessed it. The Redbirds answer again, this time for good. They scored 4 times in the bottom of the 7th inning, thanks in part to this shot.
It's a challenge to get all these catchers at opportunities as this ball is hit deep to left center field. At the track, at the wall. This one is gone. Jimmy Crooks, first home run of spring. It's a 2-run shot. And the Cardinals take their 2-run lead, turn it into a 4-run lead, and they're doubling up the Astros. It's 8-4.
Cardinals go on to win it 9-4. In all, the Cardinals hit 4 home runs in the game, something that manager Oliver Marmol said you just don't see at Roger Dean Stadium.
No, you don't. Kids came out to play. It was some good swings, but Burley put a nice swing on his as well. Solid day.
Cards improved to 4-2 in the Grapefruit League. Redbirds finished with 11 hits spread out over 9 players. Marmol said everyone is contributing right now.
It's a connected group. They're really taking to the concept of being together and going through this process together and competing relentlessly together. They're in the same boat, right? Like they're all in a very similar place in their careers, and they understand they're going to play together for a while, and it's starting to build towards that in how they communicate. Some of the clubhouse meetings, like it's very different, and I say that in an incredibly good way.
Today, the Cards face the Mets. That's a 12:05 Central Time first pitch, and you can hear it on 11:20 a.m. Regular programming continues on 104.1 FM. I'm Joe Pott on your home of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Mike.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-909-9696. 800-909-9696.
What if you had a plan to build income outside your job? At Lifestyles Unlimited, you'll learn how people are investing in real estate to grow their income and make smarter financial choices one property at a time. Right now, join us for just $297. That's a savings of $443 off our real estate education program. Text RADIO to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
Attention business owners with a net income over $500,000. You need to work with a tax strategist that understands your entrepreneurial mindset. Download the most recent white paper written by E3 Consultants Group titled The power of a professional tax strategy team. Go to e3wealth.com/radio to obtain a copy. It's time to learn about wealth and tax strategies that protect your personal and business economy. E3 is ready to help you think differently about your finances. Educate, empower, enlighten. That's the E3 difference.
Now the news at 9, The Talk. The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Time for another update on the road. Roger Brand is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, getting out and getting going's easy on a Friday morning in general, Megan, and it's certainly holding true to this morning with just one exception, and that's out west, eastbound Highway 70. Still a little slowdown near the Warrenton roundabout. There's still a brief backup right in the heart of Wright City, and it's slow from there about midway into Forest Hill, so road work yet to be completely picked up. Lighter Friday volume is helping it not turn into a jam because it's been that way. It's been pretty static as far as the delays go for the last 40 minutes or so ever since I started keeping an eye on it. So, nothing has gotten any worse, but that is the only place we're seeing delays in the construction zones or otherwise. So 64 around O'Fallon, Fairview Heights looks good. 55 in Festus, north of Bayless. 270 between 64 and Ladue. All of them rolling pretty easily so far for you this morning. Don't forget a little heads up for overnight tonight. It's going to be later, 11 p.m. to 5 a.m., but they will have southbound 55 closed between M and Highway Z so they can pour a new bridge deck in the area there, and you'll have to get off at M and take 61, 67 south to Highway Z to get around that closure. Next update at 6:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
All right, thanks, Roger. I feel like you need a flow chart sometimes to keep track of the weather we've had this month, and this forecast is no exception because today, sunshine, breezy, high of 75 degrees. Tomorrow, sun and clouds, and maybe a late day shower with a high of 66. But then Sunday, it's going to be colder with a high, let's see, I'm not sure what the high is going to be, but I do know we're going to see some rain and then maybe snow and sleet. We could see up to 1 to 3 inches of accumulation of snow. That is a possibility. It won't stick around. But still, from 75 today to possibly snow on Sunday, right now it is 36 degrees.
The news continues at 6:22. In a KMOX follow-up, State Representative Brad Christ has pending legislation making it possible for St. Louis County school districts to withdraw from the special school district. He also spoke with our Maria Kina about the Department of Justice finding the special school district is discriminating against students with disabilities.
DOJ findings follow a nearly 2-year investigation. It determined the district's seclusion and restraint practices violate Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act by routinely subjecting students to ineffective seclusion practices that are highly susceptible to abuse and restraints without justification, rather than providing the interventions and supports that they need to receive the education that they are guaranteed by federal law. Representative Chris came up with this legislation following complaints. It had nothing to do with the DOJ's ruling.
They would have to get the school board to vote on it and pass it with a 4 of 7 vote. And then if it passed the school board of elected officials, it would then go on the ballot for the entire school district.
Christ says how a school district like Lindbergh would do this, they'd have to pitch to their school board and then to the community. What about funding for that? How would they get the resources for it to do it in-house?
So there's a levy paid right now to special school district. If the school districts were to pull special school district back into their school district, that levy would then follow the school district instead of special school district.
In effect, if enough schools do this, they could essentially defund the special school district.
No, it would not defund the school district. One, they wouldn't have those services to pay for, say Lindbergh, they wouldn't have those teachers to pay for Lindbergh. So if they don't have the school district to serve, they don't have the cost to serve either. So it wouldn't defund the school district, but it would reform it in a way where it's not mandated countywide, and a school district could if they wanted to. Again, this is a complete opt-in. Explore leaving special school district.
I didn't mean to fund the actual school district. I meant if enough schools pulled out of or started their own in-house, then that would essentially, what purpose would the St. Louis County Special School District have if everybody pulled out of it?
Well, the special school district, I think, will always have a need for some of the more severe cases. Most of the special school districts right now are actually in the school districts, so serving the community in their local school district. But then you have 5 standalone schools for more severe cases. You have some of the tech schools. And so there would still be a need or a desire for many school districts to stay in SSD, and they would still receive a number of the levy. And there's actually a independent study done by UMSL that says for the viability of the future of SSD, they should look at actually dissolving some of the school districts that can bring it in-house and would be able to bring it in-house financially. And so there's quite a bit of research on this, and the special school districts operating at almost a $50 to $60 million deficit right now. So there's reform needed. I've always said, I don't know if this is the answer, but the status quo is not what the answer is. So we filed this legislation to start that process and see if we can't find a middle ground that everybody can work on. But I'm still pretty confident in the legislation.
Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
Missouri's junior Senator Eric Schmidt says he is working closely with the Trump administration and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to make sure Missouri receives critical funding because he says the Democrat shutdown is threatening FEMA's ability to distribute relief. The year-long DHS funding bill includes more than $26 billion for the Disaster Relief Fund. Democrats are refusing to fund DHS until there are major changes to immigration and enforcement policies.
We have not learned one new thing.
Congressman Wesley Bell, one of many Democrats questioning why the former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton being questioned about Jeffrey Epstein.
As oversight members, to do our job to ensure that all the evidence, any information is heard, and that any victims, any survivors' voices are heard as well. And that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Bell says Hillary Clinton wants the press to be in the hearing. Republicans are not allowing it.
Governor Pritzker says by sending the federal government an $8.6 billion invoice to reimburse Illinois taxpayers for tariffs, it's gaining the attention of Congress.
By virtue of us raising this issue, it's being talked about in Congress, and they're really the ones who get to decide whether there's going to be a rebate or the courts are going to rule it.
Pritzker tells MS Now he came up with the $8.6 billion amount by determining each taxpayer in Illinois has paid an extra $1,700 in tariff costs.
It's now 6:27. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelley Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Attention all dog owners. If you have ever listened to the radio or TV for any length of time, you've probably heard of America's #1 dog supplement, Rough Greens. Greetings, naturopathy Dr. Dennis Black, Amazon best-selling author and founder of Rough Greens here. And if your dog suffers from bad breath, itchy skin, licking paws, joint pain, or low energy, the truth is their food is probably to blame. You see, all commercial dog food is dead food. That's why I created Rough Greens. One daily scoop gives your pup the live vitamins, omega oils, probiotics, and enzymes that will bring their food back to life. Don't believe me? Let your dog try it before you buy it. I'll send you a free Jumpstart trial bag. Risk-free, you just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com. That's RUFFgreens.com. Use discount code NEWS. Don't wait. Give your dog the gift of vibrant health. Order now. It'll be at your house in a few days. Go to roughgreens.com. That's RUFFgreens.com. Discount code NEWS for your free Jumpstart trial bag today. Rough Green. We make any dog food better.
Turning 50 doesn't mean slowing down. It means getting smarter about your health. That's why we created NeoVitan Men's 50 Plus Multivitamin. It's doctor formulated to support your energy, immune health, and overall vitality. Plus, it's made in the U.S. using the finest domestic and international ingredients. Take control of your health with supplements you can trust. Look for NeoVitan Men's 50 Plus at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, or online at neovitan.com. NeoVitan, made for men who keep moving forward.
Some people spend more time planning their weekend barbecue than their retirement. And hey, I love barbecue. But ribs won't pay your bills at 85. I'm Gary Goldberg, the founder of Financial and Tax Strategies. I'll help you retire younger, richer, and with less anxiety. Give me a call, 800-966-1690, or visit us at checkwithgary.com before you burn through more than just your burgers.
Investment advisory services offered through Centaurus Financial, Inc., an FFC registered investment advisor.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Hear me out on this. Let's say, for the sake of argument, you do have
a wife or a significant other, they're just a huge problem in your life. And then you win a giant jackpot. Don't you feel like this is your opportunity to just leave town?
You're not going to file papers because now you're going to be legally bound to this lady.
That's what you get the lawyer for.
You're not even married and you're fantasizing about leaving your wife.
The Chris and Amy Show, weekdays starting at 9 on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is 6:30, and right now we've got clear skies and 36 degrees in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Megan Lynch. Let's get a check of the roads with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, they're reporting a stall downtown, Megan and Debbie, eastbound 70 before Tucker. They're saying they have the right lane blocked. I can't quite see it on the camera. But again, Friday mornings in general tend to be lighter volume, so I'm not really even seeing a slowdown coming into downtown on eastbound 70 anywhere in the area. Now, out west, we do have a slowdown. In fact, it's a little bit of a jam. Eastbound 70 briefly backed up through Wright City. It's basically slow on the west side of the city to just east of the city. A little bit better than it was 10 minutes ago, so maybe they're finally getting all the barrels picked up, but it is still a delay. There's also a little bit of a delay now. Northbound 55 from Bayless up to River to Pear. Southbound 61 went from Parkway down to 64. Also looks a little heavy. On the Illinois side, we still look okay. 64 through that O'Fallon Fairview Heights area and that work zone. Next update at 6:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
The weather is going to be gorgeous today, 75 degrees with sunshine and a nice breeze. And then tomorrow, a late day shower in spots, otherwise sun and clouds with a high of 66, and then the potential of some snow on Sunday. Right now, it's clear and 36 in downtown St. Louis.
It's 6:31. A fire watch issued for the St. Louis region today. The National Weather Service issued a red flag warning for the St. Louis region from noon to 6. Gusty winds, low humidity, and above average temperatures expected to put the region at risk for quick fire spread.
A family finds the body of an Army veteran 2 days after a house fire. Wayne Van's body was discovered during a house search by his family last night after fire destroyed his home in Wellston Tuesday night. According to KSDK, Mid-County Fire Protection District responded to the fire and reportedly told the family there was no one inside the home.
Fire Chief Randall Sanders says firefighters were forced to evacuate the building after only 6 minutes due to a collapsed roof. The family says they were initially told cadaver dogs would be brought to search the residence, but Sanders says no dogs were available Wednesday. The family searched the home Thursday morning and says it only took them minutes to locate Van's body.
Free speech settlement. St. Louis Public Schools is ordered to pay almost $30,000 as part of the settlement with local advocacy group Coalition for STL Kids that was reached this morning. The coalition says the lawsuit comes after the school district's past practices that restricted community voices. The settlement aims to establish better protections for public participation at district meetings and bolster the right of families and community members to speak without retaliation.
Infestus, a consulting firm, will help the city navigate its data center issue and negotiate an agreement with the developer. That's what the Festus City Council unanimously agreed upon last night, with Mayor Sam Richard saying Marks Nelson Advisors will help city leaders work out a deal with long-term benefits for the city and residents.
That did not sit well with a number of opponents of the data center. About 100 people packed the council meeting and lobby, shouting questions and complaints and booing loudly after the 7-0 vote. Before the meeting, people protested along West Main Street with signs and banners. Erica Carter telling the Post-Dispatch she feels the mayor is just steamrolling ahead, doing what he wants and not listening to citizens.
The news sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Your money report next. It's 6:33.
All right, let's get you that money report. It is sponsored for you by Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano, elder law attorneys.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Anthropic CEO says it cannot in good conscience accede to the Pentagon's demands for its AI use. The company says it does not want its technology used for surveillance of U.S. citizens or for autonomous lethal strikes without a human in the loop. The Defense Department has vowed to declare Anthropic a supply chain risk, which could preclude it from working with other defense contractors. A blow to the Ohio farm industry. A fire at a farm outside Columbus killed 6,000 hogs and pigs. The fire chief there says the large farm complex was used for hog production consisting of 5 large agricultural buildings. Burger King is testing AI-powered headsets that can do things like track how friendly employees are to customers. The system, which uses a voice called Patty, collects data on restaurant operations and shares it with employees through their headsets. Burger King says it will track keywords like welcome and thank you. It's testing it at 500 restaurants. Matt Piper, Bloomberg Radio.
Make plans for the 2026 Home Expo, presented by the Home Builders and Remodelers Association. Friday and Saturday from 9 to 6, Sunday 10 to 3 at Belle Claire Fairgrounds in Belleville. Meet experts from 175 plus booths. Enjoy hourly giveaways, live performances, and pet adoptions with Gateway Pet Guardians. Admission and parking are free, and over 10,000 people are expected to attend. Proudly sponsored by Aloha Pools, Jacob Family Enterprises, Mid-America Cabinet Refacing, McCullough Flooring, and many more. Get all the details at hbrmea.org.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
It's exhibition preseason baseball today as the Cards take on the Mets. Pre-game 11:55, first pitch 12:05. And you can hear the game on 11:20 a.m. KMOX, the voice of the Cardinals.
It is now 6:37 and Total Information AM continues. Hillary Clinton has testified that she has no information on Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and doesn't recall meeting him. The former Secretary of State told members of Congress she had no knowledge of Epstein's crimes. She had a 6-hour deposition yesterday. Clinton said the Democratic couple's knowledge of Epstein is limited. Bill Clinton has not been accused of wrongdoing in his relationship with Epstein, but he is set to testify before Congress today, making him the first former president in more than 50 years to testify before Congress.
Pakistan is in open war with Afghanistan after the latest strikes. That, according to the defense minister, Pakistan and Afghanistan have traded attacks in a dramatic escalation of tensions between the countries. Pakistan's defense minister said Friday they are now in open war. Tensions have been high between the neighbors for months. Border clashes in October killed dozens of soldiers, civilians, and suspected militants. A recent ceasefire ended the fighting, although the two sides still occasionally trade fire. But late Thursday, Afghanistan launched a cross-border attack on Pakistan, saying it was in retaliation for earlier Pakistani airstrikes. Pakistan then carried out airstrikes in Kabul and 2 other Afghan provinces on Friday.
What are quantum dots? U.S. National Science Foundation investments in foundational research and development have driven decades of quantum science innovations, from GPS systems to MRI technology or the lasers that enable today's internet. Many technologies that leverage quantum effects have their roots in NSF investments. Whether you're aware or not, one of these advancements may already be in your home: quantum dots.
Quantum dots are semiconductor particles nanometer in the range. They can be synthesized in the solution phase, and they can emit lights of different colors by tuning their size, composition, or morphology.
Malad Abul-Hassani and his NSF-supported group work with automated labs and chemical discovery and development. Applications for quantum dots include nanocrystals that are essential components of next-generation displays, solar cells, high-resolution medical imaging, and many more technologies.
The breadth of applications and impact of quantum dots was actually regarded by the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 2023.
Quantum dots now drive a $4 billion industry, with applications ranging from displays and medical imaging to quantum computing. The future promises great impact as quantum-powered technologies mature into commercial markets in computers with unprecedented power, inherently secure communications, new industrial materials, and sophisticated sensors and imaging tools. For more quantum science news, listen to NSF's Discovery Files podcast.
Local workers who make cans for beer and soft drinks have ratified a new agreement. More than 245 members of Teamsters Local 6 at Metal Container Corporation approved a 5-year agreement that includes wage increases up to 23%, more vacation time, and scheduling flexibility. Metal Container is a subsidiary of AB InBev.
It's 6:40. Let's see how things are moving out there and if there are any problems popping up that are major. Roger Brand is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, no major problems, Megan, but all the issues we've got right now are on Highway 70. If you're on eastbound Highway 70, it's getting better out west. There's just a little slowdown now east of Wright City, so that doesn't look all that bad. But you get into downtown, and again, it doesn't look bad, but we have a couple of incidents. Now, I did find that stall eastbound 70 right near Tucker. It's just before that 70 ramp into Illinois. It's on the right shoulder, so it's not blocking anything. However, it looks like I'm looking under the Adelaide overpass. We had a report of a motorist sick case eastbound 70 near Adelaide, and it looks like they do have the right lane shut down just before the Adelaide overpass for that one. But again, light enough volume. It's in the local lanes, by the way. Light enough volume that there are no delays. And if you're worried about it, you can jump in the express lanes because they're, of course, even lighter than their local lanes on eastbound 70 running through there. 61 southbound looks better coming down through Wentzville Parkway. Northbound 55, you still have that slowdown. Bayless up to River to Pear, heavy in that construction zone. Still looks good in the work zone. 64 through O'Fallon and Fairview Heights on the Illinois side. And it still looks good on 270 in the work zone both ways between 64 and Ladue. Next update at 6:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It is 6:41, and looking out the windows here of Studio B, I see clear skies. Looks like it's shaping up to be a nice day. A really nice day, says Joe Lundberg, our AccuWeather meteorologist.
Yeah, this is the pick of the week, Debbie. If you've got some time to get out and about and enjoy, do it, because we're going to 75 with sunshine and a nice breeze this afternoon. Tonight should be clear. We'll settle in at about 40. Not bad tomorrow. Sunshine, some clouds, just not as warm. Our high 66. Toward the end of the day, as the front moves through, there could be a shower. Behind that front, it's going to be breezy and a whole lot cooler for a few days, starting on Sunday. 45 on Sunday, maybe a little rain toward the end of the day. That rain could mix with some sleet and snow in places Sunday night before it exits early on Monday. Then later Monday, cloudy, the high 46. Some rain Tuesday, the high 53. Then it turns warmer again starting on Wednesday. Right now, 33 at St. Peter's, 37 in Florissant. Mostly sunny at this hour, and 41 downtown at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
I'm Joe Pott. I've got some fun throwback sports coming at you next in just a few minutes.
It's now 6:42. Panera, or St. Louis Bread Company, putting out what it calls its first ever value menu. It's very similar to the Pick 2 concept they already have. There's a list of 10 items, sandwiches, soups, and salads for $4.99 each. To get that price, you have to order 2 items. The National Restaurant Association reports 3 out of 4 diners say daily specials, discounts, or value promotions matter when choosing where to dine.
A Missouri-based coin and precious metal expert says the silver and gold industry is experiencing the most dramatic price increases he's seen in his lifetime. Dave Sorek says silver prices have seen an over 70% increase since this time last year. Gold went from $30 an ounce to around $80. He tells MissouriNet the question people always want answered is when to sell, and sellers are especially curious now.
I guess we always use the cautionary tale of what's come before. You know, they say that sometimes history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes.
The FBI says it's seeing an increase in criminals who have found a new way to steal cash out of ATM machines. It's called ATM jackpotting. Here's Special Agent David Herr.
The ATM has cash in the cash canisters, and during the jackpotting incidents, the cash is removed from the canisters through a withdrawal process, basically, but it only is a loss to the bank, not to individual account holders, like other crimes would be.
Herr says the criminal replaces the hard drive in the machine with one that has malware, or they use a thumb drive. It would take more time than a normal transaction, so the FBI is warning banks to look out for that and report any activity that's out of the ordinary.
We've implemented population rounds to make sure that we are catching dogs before they're entered into, regular populations.
St. Louis County Health Director Dr. Kanika Cunningham also oversees animal care and control and says care has improved at the shelter.
Cunningham tells KMOX they learned from last year's deadly parvovirus outbreak to separate new admissions from the regular pet population.
It forced us to revisit our policies, our protocols. We now do standard deep cleaning once a week. We still continue to do mock inspections as well.
19 dogs were euthanized during last year's parvo outbreak.
Been able to identify dogs coming in with parvo before they were exposed to others. We had a few cases of Giardia, but we were able to quickly, get those dogs identified and isolated and treated.
There are 144 dogs available for adoption or foster. That is still way above the ideal 100. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
Is the NBA on NBC.
I know my studio mates know it. Everybody probably knows the old NBA on NBC theme. Of course, NBC and the NBA have reunited this season, with NBC picking up coverage of the league once again. But soon, they're going to be partying like it's 1995 or 1996.
Hi again, everybody. I'm Bob Costas, and welcome to these NBA Finals. With due respect to the Seattle Supersonics and apologies to their fans, the prevailing attitude in Chicago and through most of the country, really, is that these NBA Finals loom not so much as a competition as a coronation.
Well, that is Bob Costas at the start of the 1996 NBA Finals. That, of course, included Michael Jordan and the 72 regular season win Bulls team, which would go on to win that series 4-2 over the Seattle Supersonics, who now call Oklahoma City home. Next week, Bob Costas will be joined by Mike Fratello and Doug Collins, who were all at one point employed by NBC on NBA broadcasts in the 90s. That'll be Tuesday, as NBC will have a throwback night as the San Antonio Spurs face the Philadelphia 76ers. Jim Gray is going to serve as the sideline reporter, and Hannah Storm, Isaiah Thomas, and PJ Carlesimo will handle the studio hosting duties. It's not just the broadcasters, but the broadcast itself will feature late 90s graphics and other, quote, familiar components from that era of the NBA on NBC. It all gets started at 6 o'clock Central Time. That is on Tuesday, so that will be a lot of fun. Regular season winding down for area college basketball teams. SIUE and Lindenwood, final weekend of the regular season. Last night, SIUE dominated Western Illinois. They win the game 67-47. The Cougars secured the 5th seed in the upcoming OVC tournament in Evansville, Indiana. SIUE is 18-12 overall. They play host to Eastern Illinois to close out the regular season tomorrow at 3:30 in Edwardsville. Lindenwood lost to Eastern Illinois last night in St. Charles, 71-67 the final there. Lindenwood has the 6th seed for the tournament, and the Lions close out their season tomorrow afternoon with Western Illinois. The 23rd ranked Billikens have 3 games to play in the regular season. Tomorrow, St. Louis has lost 2 of 3. They will have Duquesne tomorrow at Chaifetz Arena. Billikens 25-3 overall, 13-2 in the Atlantic 10. SLU leads the A10 by just a game over VCU, while Duquesne comes in at 16-12 overall. Tip-off is set for 7. If you can't be at Chaifetz, you can hear it here, beginning with the pregame show at 6:45 on KMOX with Bob Ramsey and Earl Austin Jr. I'm Joe Pott on your home of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM KMOX.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan with McKelvey Homes. It's a great time to buy a brand new home, and Strawberry Farms in O'Fallon is taking shape. We've got our first foundations in the ground, and our display home will be opening soon. This community features walking trails, a beautiful lake, a berry patch honoring the land's history, a private playground, and Fort Zumwalt schools. It's a fresh start and a great location. Visit McKelveyHomes.com to schedule your tour of Strawberry Farms. It's time to move up to McKelvey.
Wait, Corey from Air Comfort Service? What are you doing in my basement?
Standing behind our work.
It's 9 p.m.
At Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation, we take pride in our work. If you need heating service, no matter the time of day or night, we're here to help with 24/7 emergency service.
So you're just going to stand behind my furnace?
Yeah, pretty much.
Can you hand me those paper towels then?
Absolutely. For heating service or HVAC maintenance, visit aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
Every spring brings promises, and every spring delivers surprises. This year, the Cardinals are writing a new story, and there will be plenty of surprises. Matt Pauley is in Jupiter with inside access to Camp Cardinals.
Presented by St. Louis Composting. Composting, growing gardens and making memories. And Happy Roof. We always create happy endings.
From breakout performances to roster revelations, get reports throughout the day on the voice of the Cardinals. KMOX. Now the news. At 1, the fun. It's the Dave Glover Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Probably not much fun heading to work this morning, but let's get you there safely with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
At least it's an easy drive in for pretty much everybody, Megan. A few slowdowns out there, but all in all, not bad. In fact, I'm just looking. It looks like they took care of that motorist sick case we had eastbound 70 before Adelaide. That right lane's back open, so that's good news. If you're on northbound 55, just a little busy north of Bayless up through Weber. If you're on eastbound 44, I'm seeing a little bit of a slowdown between Barry and Elm, so we'll try to see if it's anything more than sunshine for you there. Eastbound 70, looking better through Wright City. It is kind of slow, though, from A toward Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Picks up the pace before you get to the boulevard. Westbound 70 seeing a slowdown through the Wright City Rest area out west of Wright City proper. On the Illinois side, we still look okay through the construction zone on 64 in the O'Fallon Fairview Heights area, and the bridges downtown Poplar and Muso Veterans still wide open for you. Next update at 6:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Weather-wise, enjoy today because it's going to be 75 degrees and sunny, breezy. Then tomorrow, 66 degrees with sun and clouds, maybe a late day shower. And by Sunday, that rain could change over to sleet and maybe snow with some accumulation, but it isn't expected to last long. Right now, it's 36 degrees downtown.
More news now at 6:51. Thousands of transgender people in Kansas suddenly driving with invalid licenses. A controversial new state law took effect today, mandating that all driver's licenses match a person's sex assigned at birth. Because lawmakers included a no grace period, IDs that do not comply are immediately void.
The Kansas Department of Revenue only started mailing notices this week, leaving many who are affected scrambling to figure out how to legally drive. Those caught driving with voided IDs face misdemeanor charges, while violating the law's strict new bathroom rules can result in a $1,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail.
A coalition of human service providers is urging Illinois lawmakers to boost workforce funding. Here's WBBM's Glenn Marshall.
We are not experiencing a workforce shortage. We are experiencing a wage shortage.
Members of Illinois Partners for Human Service say wages have not kept pace with inflation, making it harder to recruit and retain staff. The group says more than 90% of single-income workers with children earn below a living wage. Lawmakers are now supporting legislation aimed at strengthening the workforce. One proposal would expand loan repayment assistance for human service professionals. Another would update funding formulas to reflect rising costs.
Investing in human service workers matter, and when we strengthen those who serve, we strengthen families, communities, and the next generation.
Memorial services for the Reverend Jesse Jackson began yesterday in Chicago and stretch across the country. He'll lie in repose today as well at the Rainbow Push Coalition headquarters. Events are taking place in Washington, D.C. and in South Carolina, where he was born. Jackson died last week at the age of 84.
A tribute to an actor on the TV show that made him a star. CBS's Deborah Rodriguez has details.
Like steamy, right?
Mark Sloan.
ABC's Grey's Anatomy paid homage to Eric Dane with a 60-second montage at the end of last night's episode.
Why are you telling me to give it time when there's no guarantee that time is going to be there?
Dane died last week after a battle with ALS.
Don't waste one single minute.
The soundtrack, a cover of Snow Patrol's Chasing Cars, used in a montage to celebrate the show's 400th episode 4 years ago. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
I heard it's somebody's birthday.
Birthday excitement. It's your birthday.
Today's KMOX birthday shout out is sponsored by Renner Garage Door, RENNER, forward and back, family owned and top rated. RennerDoorSTL.com. Celebrity birthdays for this Friday, February 27th. Actor Joanne Woodward, 96 years old today. Consumer advocate Ralph Nader is 92. Chelsea Clinton, 46 years old today. Singer Josh Groban is celebrating his 45th. And pop singer 10 is 30.
We've got a lot of local celebrity birthdays today, including Lindsay Ball O'Connell from Nana and Grandpa, Carla Payne from your friends, Mary Ann Spring from her whole big family and many, many friends. Also, Sharon Bird of O'Fallon, Illinois from your husband, Alonzo. Susan Vale, or Volley, is celebrating, along with Tom Wethington, Anne Marie Moreno, Vivian Gibson, Steve Butts, Hunka John Schmidt from the Game Nighters, Annie Colleen, and happy birthday wishes going out to Dan Gray.
This is the best birthday ever.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. YourEyeDoc.com.
Don't miss the U.S. Air Force's Shades of Blue Jazz Ensemble, February 25th through March 4th. Enjoy big band swing, patriotic favorites, and more. Get free tickets and locations at afbandtix.org. That's afbandtix.org.
Ready for instant curb appeal that comes with a 25-year transferable warranty? Call Rhino Shield today. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, aluminum, steel, cedar, and more. Over the past 20 years, we've done thousands of homes, businesses, churches, schools, condos, parking garages, large metal buildings, and strip malls, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks. We do flat and sloped metal roofs to extend their lives too. Proud to be veteran-owned and manufactured in the good old USA, so we're tariff-free. We're exceeding expectations every day. Evaluations are free. A+ rated with the BBB and a lot of 5-star Google reviews. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't hate, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
For 100 years, you've welcomed KMOX into your cars, your kitchens, and your daily routines.
You've trusted us through breaking news, championship celebrations, and the stories that shaped our city.
You've listened during moments of joy and leaned on us when times were uncertain.
From overnight shifts to early mornings, from one generation to the next, you've made KMOX a part of your life.
From everyone at KMOX, thank you, St. Louis, for 100 unforgettable years.
KMOX Radio, the voice of St. Louis.
At Johns Hopkins, I'm Elizabeth Tracy.
When you have to teach yourself a task and adapt to having that task speed up, that's one type of learning used in a study assessing different types of brain training and development of Alzheimer's disease. Marilyn Albert, study author and Alzheimer's disease expert at Johns Hopkins, says another group in the study did memory and reasoning tasks, while a third had no intervention.
The people in the memory and the reasoning tasks were given instruction about what to do. Those are two different kinds of learning. One we call implicit memory, the other we call explicit memory. Implicit memory uses different parts of the brain than explicit memory. Implicit memory lasts really a long time. The best example is if you're learning how to ride a bike, you're trying to balance, someone's helping you. Over time, you get better. You don't consciously understand how you're getting better, but you do. And if you don't ride a bike for 10 years and you get back on a bike, you can still do it.
At Johns Hopkins, I'm Elizabeth Tracy.
Let's get another update on the roads for you with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
But we're getting into that lull we see a lot, Megan, around 7 a.m. where things start to slow down, not highways, but just volume. It gets a little lighter. Eastbound Highway 70, though, you've got a little busy traffic at the 64 East ramp. It is slow from K to TR Hughes, but after that, it's wide open all the way to downtown. Southbound 61's cleared out. Seeing a little slowdown. Westbound 70, the Wright City Rest area. Eastbound 64, just right at Prospect, is the only slowdown there. 55, barely slow. Weber to River to Paris, so that doesn't look bad. And on the Illinois side, you still look good to go. 64 in the O'Fallon Fairview Heights area. Next update at 7:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Today is Friday, February 27th. I'm Debbie Monterrey. The University of Missouri St. Louis is facing a federal civil rights complaint for alleged scholarship discrimination. More coming up at 7:04.
I'm Megan Lynch. Another St. Louis school facing lawsuit. This time it's been settled. A free speech settlement against St. Louis Public Schools. Details ahead.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. Bright sunshine today, breezy and warmer this afternoon, high up to 75.
Joe Pott has sports coming your way at 7:15.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
CBS News on the Hour. Your home for original reporting.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Another incident involving a drone closes airspace in Texas. We're just learning the military shot down a drone Wednesday, and the FAA closed operations near Fort Hancock outside of El Paso. Transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve.
Appearing to present a united front late last night, the Pentagon, CBP, and FAA released a joint statement saying they're, quote, working together in an unprecedented fashion, but also admitted the agencies have to, quote, work on increased cooperation to prevent such incidents in the future. Meanwhile, top Democrats on a number of committees on the Hill also released statements, and this is a quote from one of them. Our heads are exploding over the news.
It comes 2 weeks after the FAA closed airspace over the airport in El Paso when the military used a high-powered laser on what turned out to be a party balloon. They thought it was a drone from a Mexican cartel. Today, Bill Clinton will become the first former president in 50 years to testify before Congress. He'll be deposed by a House panel investigating the Jeffrey Epstein case. Yesterday, Mr. Clinton's wife, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, gave 6 hours worth of testimony. House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer.
The number of times that she said, I don't know, you'll have to ask my husband, was more than a dozen.
Neither Clinton is accused of wrongdoing. A stunning reversal in a high-stakes media bidding war has our parent company at CBS News, Paramount Skydance, poised to take over the reins at another storied Hollywood studio. Correspondent Jolene Kent.
The bidding war appears to be over here, with Netflix bowing out, saying that Warner Brothers Discovery was always a nice to have at the right price, not a must have at any price.
A record number of journalists, 129, were killed last year.
The Committee to Protect Journalists says 2/3 of last year's deaths were caused by Israel's military amid the war in Gaza. Yesterday, UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk condemned the killings of Palestinian journalists.
My office has verified that 292 were killed in Israeli operations since 7 October 2023.
In a statement, the Israel Defense Forces says it doesn't intentionally harm journalists. Israel has claimed some of those killed were legitimate targets who were working with Hamas. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Check this out if you like to grill. Stacey Lynn says more than 3 million brushes are being recalled.
The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission says the tiny wire bristles can break off, stick to your food, and if swallowed, can cause some serious injuries. The company's received at least 38 reports of detached bristles so far. Several of the people swallowed them and needed medical attention.
This is CBS News.
It's one of the most successful law and justice programs in television history that continues to uncover the truth. 48 Hours, Saturday on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
Jen, I didn't know you shopped here. Hey, I'm hunting for something fresh for spring. Oh, girl, skip them all. Jewelry Television has the best spring looks right now. JTV, way ahead of you. Just hit up JTV.com yesterday. Scored the cutest clover earrings, 2 tennis bracelets, and this gorgeous pearl ring.
Right now, new customers get $20 off any purchase of $99 or more at JTV.com.
Oh, and gold hoops and this turquoise bracelet. Just a couple things, huh? Maybe more than a couple.
DQ presents the Spicy Menu. For a limited time, try the new Flamethrower Chicken Strip Basket for $6.99 with spicy bold strips that heat you up.
Served with a side of famous DQ soft serve as a dip to cool you down. That's right, dip those spicy chicken strips right into soft serve. Plus fries and toast, all for just $6.99. And add a new pineapple lemonade sparkler or cooler made with tahini. It's the limited time only Swicy menu. Get it delivered in the DQ app. Happy, tastes good. Participation may.
At 7:04, we have sunny skies, 37 degrees downtown at the Arch. Today is Friday, February 27th. I'm Megan Lynch.
And I'm Debbie Monterrey. The University of Missouri-St. Louis facing a federal civil rights complaint for alleged scholarship discrimination. Our partners at Fox 2 report the complaint also requests a formal investigation be conducted by the Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights.
A group called the Equal Protection Project alleges some scholarships discriminate because preferences are given to minorities. The scholarships in question are advertising a preference for minority applicants, but it's not a requirement.
A 2023 U.S. Supreme Court case ruled that scholarships cannot use race as a specific factor for admissions.
Free speech settlement has been reached with St. Louis Public Schools. St. Louis Public Schools is ordered to pay almost $30,000 as part of the settlement with local advocacy group Coalition for STL Kids that was reached this morning. The coalition says the lawsuit comes after the school district's past practices that restricted community voices. The settlement aims to establish better protections for public participation at district meetings and to bolster the right of families and community members to speak without retaliation.
It's not clear what action will be taken against the St. Louis County Special School District following the Department of Justice's determination that the district discriminates against students with disabilities.
St. Louis Area State Representative Brad Criss talked with KMOX about his pending legislation that would allow St. Louis County school districts to opt out of the special school district. Criss says the district has a multi-million-dollar budget deficit.
I wasn't aware of that until I filed the bill and a few of my colleagues brought it to my attention. And then again, I didn't look too into it because I was told it was resolved, and then this headline came out. So apparently it's not resolved, or they have issues. But yeah, it's not good. And then there's something going on there where there's going to need to be reform, whether it's that headline or the deficit or the lawsuits they're receiving, or just the general needs of not being met in the students. There needs to be some sort of reform or overhaul there, it looks like.
The DOJ's determination wasn't made after a few incidents. There was nearly a 2-year investigation. Criss says it looks like it's a consistent problem in the St. Louis Special School District, something he calls traumatizing and alarming.
A lesson in circadian rhythm. That's what prompted St. Louis Public Schools to strongly consider shifting start times to a bit later in the morning for some students.
The schedule proposed for the 2026-27 school year would align more with adolescent circadian rhythms, moving from a start time as early as 7:15 a.m. to maybe 8 a.m. or 9:30 a.m. Cardinal Glennon pediatric sleep medicine specialist Dr. Brent Haberman tells KMOX teens need much more sleep than adults, 8 to 10 hours a night. And a later wake-up time would be a big help.
We think that that's very beneficial, and there's been lots of benefits that have been seen in the communities where they've pushed back the start times later.
Dr. Haberman says sleepiness in adolescence is delayed until late at night, often 11 p.m. or later. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
From the KMOX business desk, reinstating a tax credit has paid off when it comes to bringing film and TV production back to the Show Me State. According to the Missouri Film Office and the Department of Economic Development, production spent more than $40 million in the state last year, more than $11 million of that in St. Louis. St. Louis-based Cool Fire Studios oversaw 14 local productions that spent more than $2 million.
It is 7:08, and we will take a look at traffic and weather. It's going to feel like spring, maybe even summer today. Details on the way.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Mike.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney.
This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-909-9696. 800-909-9696.
Dreaming of college but worried about the cost? The Together Foundation is here to help. The Together Foundation is awarding 5 $1,500 scholarships to St. Louis area students who are ready to take the next step toward their future. Applying is simple, but time is limited, as applications will be accepted through March 31st. Learn more or apply at togethercu.org/scholarship. That's togethercu.org/scholarship. This community message has been brought to you by Together Credit Union.
Hey, Cardinal Cowboy here. Who would have thought a car crash would have led to charities, TV shows, and cheering with the best fans in the world? I'm thankful for every day. And so are my friends at Renner Garage Door. They've been turning garage doors from zero to hero since 1966. With help from trusted brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster, honest family-style service you can count on. So giddy up and get your free repair or replacement quote today. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
It is now 7:10, and we need to get you updated on your ride in and the weather. Lately, you never know when you leave the house what coat to wear, and oftentimes, like I left my house with my winter coat, but I won't need it later this afternoon. Details of that on the way. But first, here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Yeah, it's nice weather right now. I guess we'll see by the time we get through the end of the weekend what it looks like. But a nice start to the day. Sun's in your eyes, but a lighter volume. This is the time of day, Debbie, where we sort of get into a lull on the highways. Volume sort of diminishes and then starts to build towards 740 or so. And right now we're looking pretty good. Eastbound 70, K most of the way into TR Hughes, just kind of slow through there. But east of there, you're good to go. Just a little slowdown in the city right around Shreve at this point in time. If you're on eastbound 64, that's slow between Clarkson and Timberlake, but looks good at the Interbelt. 55 down in Festus, north of Bayless, everything looks good there. 270 looks fine. On the Illinois side, just a couple of slow spots westbound 64, west of 159. Next update is 720 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
KMOX AccuWeather. Sunshine today, becoming breezy and warmer for the afternoon, high 75. Tonight will be clear, low 40. Tomorrow, times of sun and clouds, not as warm, perhaps a late day shower, high 66. Sunday, cloudy, breezy, and much colder. There may be a little rain toward evening, the high 45. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
We have a sunny morning, 39 degrees in Florissant, 35 in St. Peters, and 37 degrees downtown at the Arch.
I'm Joe Pott. We're checking in for a spring training report straight ahead in sports.
It is 7:12. The body of 71-year-old Wayne Van was discovered during a house search by his family last night after a fire destroyed the home in Wellston Tuesday night. According to KSDK, Mid-County Fire Protection District responded to the blaze on Tuesday night and told the family no one was inside the home.
Fire Chief Randall Sanders says firefighters were forced to evacuate the building after only 6 minutes due to a collapsed roof. The family says they were initially told cadaver dogs would be brought to search the residence, but Sanders says no dogs were available. The family searched the home Thursday morning and says it only took them minutes to locate Van's body.
Police have located a man accused of dragging an officer with his car during a traffic stop in Warrenton. 41-year-old Michael Caldwell of Truesdale charged with multiple felonies, including second-degree assault. The Warrenton Police Department says their officers determined during a traffic stop that Caldwell was driving with a revoked or suspended license.
After being prompted to exit the vehicle, Caldwell fled the scene, dragging the officer who had been standing at his door. Caldwell eventually abandoned the vehicle and escaped into a nearby wooded area. Warrenton Police Department announced Caldwell was taken into custody yesterday.
Nearly half the jobs at a major tech company are disappearing today, thanks to AI.
Jack Dorsey, the St. Louis native who co-founded Square, announced the parent company Block is cutting more than 4,000 jobs. He characterizes it as about half of the company gone in one swoop. The stock price graph showed a line straight up afterwards. Dorsey tells remaining employees the company is rebuilding with, quote, intelligence at the core of everything we do. He notes the sudden restructuring is not a cost-saving measure for a failing business, but instead a shift toward AI-driven efficiency. He writes, quote, we're not just going to disappear people from Slack and email and pretend they were never here. Communication channels will stay open through Thursday evening Pacific so everyone could say goodbye properly. Employees impacted by the massive cutback will receive 20 weeks of severance pay. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
For years, Jack Dorsey's been a proponent of universal basic income, also known as UBI. 6 years ago in 2020, he shared on Andrew Yang's podcast the massive upheaval he expected to come from AI at some point.
UBI, to me, represented a floor that people could stand on, and really have the knowledge and peace of mind, ultimately, that they could survive and eat and feed their children while they are learning how to transition into this new world.
Looking at his company's customers like retailers and restaurants, Dorsey says in the near future he expects most of them won't need to employ cashiers to stand behind those Square terminals.
Now, a St. Louis Cardinals spring training report, sponsored by St. Louis Composting. Composting, growing gardens and making memories. And by Happy Roof, we always create happy endings on the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Cardinals starting pitching continues to look pretty good early on in Grapefruit League play. Matthew Liberatore becomes the first starter to make a second start and the first to pitch 3 innings in the club's 9-4 win over the Astros. He allows 1 run on 2 hits in 3 innings with 3 strikeouts and a walk, throwing 51 pitches. Manager Oliver Marmol thinks Liberatore is right where he needs to be.
I thought he did a really nice job. The mix was what you would want to see for 3 innings. The fastball had some good velo to it, good finish to it. He was able to mix in all his other stuff. The slider was a good pitch, 5 out of 6. But for this early in camp, that's exactly what you would want to see out of.
Liberatore's performance comes one day after Richard Fitz opened some eyes, touching 98 miles per hour in Wednesday's win against the Mets. A day later, Marmol is still impressed with what he saw.
I enjoyed watching him, man. Like, the stuff coming out of the hand is awesome. And the velo, but how he used the four seam and the sinker when you start to dive into his effectiveness against righties and lefties and his areas of improvement, I felt like it was a step in the right direction.
Through 6 Grapefruit League games, Cardinals starting pitchers have a 2.77 ERA with 15 strikeouts and just 2 walks over 13 innings. In Jupiter, Florida at Cardinals spring training, Matt Pauley, KMOX Sports.
And the offense wasn't bad yesterday either in the Cardinals' win over the Astros.
He waits. Here's the pitch. He lines one down the right field line. This has a chance to go. It is going, gone. Alec Burleson with a home run right into the teeth of the wind in right field. There was no doubt about that ball. And the Redbirds have come back to take the lead 4-2.
It's Mike Claiborne on Cardinals.com. That wasn't the only long ball of the day.
We can get one there back before opening. And Gazdar turns on a pitch to left field. That one's going to sail out of the ballpark for a home run. And the Cardinals now lead 9-4. John Gazdar.
In all 4 homers yesterday as the Redbirds pick up a total of 11 hits. They spread it out over 9 different players. Today, it's the Cardinals and the Mets in Jupiter. Quinn Matthews gets the start for the Cardinals, and the Redbirds will face a familiar foe in former Brewer turned Met, Freddie Peralta. That game will air today on 11:20 a.m. Regular programming continues on 104.1 FM. It is a 12:05 Central Time first pitch. Tomorrow on KMOX, it's Billikens basketball as number 23 St. Louis plays host to Duquesne at Chaffetz Arena. 7 o'clock tip-off. Pregame with Bob Ramsey and Earl Austin Jr. gets started at 6:45. I'm Joe Pott on your home of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Create the ultimate raised bed garden with St. Louis Composting. Our premium compost and soil mixes are perfect for filling the raised beds you'll enjoy building, and even better for growing fresh, homegrown veggies. Imagine harvesting your own tomatoes, peppers, and cilantro for fresh salsa the whole family can enjoy. And with delivery right to your door, getting started has never been easier. Visit stlcompost.com to order a convenient delivery from your phone in seconds, or stop by one of our 9 locations in the St. St. Louis area. St. Louis Composting, growing gardens and making memories.
Did you see the forecast? Another huge storm is tracking right for us.
I saw. Honestly, I'm not worried.
Not worried. Your roof is older than mine.
I called Happy Roof. They did a pre-storm inspection, caught a loose flashing that would have caused a major leak.
Wow, I really need that peace of mind.
Protect your happy place before the rain starts.
Booking my free inspection at thehappyroof.com or call 314-897-2310. It's all about the happy ending.
Total Information AM. The news continues on 104.1 FM KMOX.
7:19. Let's see how things are moving on the roads for you this morning and check on any problems. Roger Brand has the latest from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Bill, still doesn't look bad, Megan. As a matter of fact, right now I'm looking at an incident westbound 64 just west of the Science Center. I guess it's a stall. They have the right lane shut down for it. They have cones set out and everything, but there's barely a slowdown westbound 64, even with that lane closed. Eastbound 64 is busier, of course. Clarkson to about Timberlake is slow, and 170 into about Big Bend is kind of heavy. If you're on eastbound Highway 70, looks good out west finally through that Wright City area, but it is slow. East of K to TR Hughes, Earth City into 270 is a little bit busy after that. Northbound 270, Clayton Road up through 64. A couple of spots where it's bunching up a little bit. Not bad overall, though. Northbound 55, just a brief slowdown at Bayless. And westbound 64, for the time being, has thinned out again through that 159 area in Fairview Heights. Next update at 7:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
All right, weather-wise, it's just another really interesting roller coaster forecast. The warmest day of this 5-day forecast is today. Sunny, breezy, 75 degrees. It'll be 40 overnight. And then sun and clouds tomorrow with a high of 66. So not bad, although we could see a late day shower in spots tomorrow. Sunday is going to be cloudy, breezy, and cooler with a high of 45 degrees and a little rain late, but that rain could change over to sleet and maybe snow by Monday. We could be looking at 1 inch to 3 inches of accumulation in some areas, but it won't stick around long because it's 46 on Monday, 53 on Tuesday. So again, 75 today, maybe some snow Sunday into Monday. Right now, it's 37 degrees in downtown St. Louis.
The news continues at 7:21. A coalition of more than 100 organizations and leaders wants voters to approve a new sales tax to subsidize childcare in the city of St. Louis. KMOX asked Mackenzie Grayson, campaign manager of Best Start for Kids STL, why everyone should foot the bill to help families with childcare.
We want families to be able to go to work. Families aren't able to secure jobs because childcare is not affordable or they live in a childcare desert.
If the group gathers enough signatures to place the issue on the November ballot, voters would be asked to approve an additional 1/2 cent sales tax. Grayson says the funds would help families with childcare costs and provide grants to help improve childcare options in the city.
Missouri's junior Senator Eric Schmidt says he is working closely with the Trump administration and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to make sure Missouri receives critical funding. Schmidt says the Democrats' shutdown is threatening FEMA's ability to distribute relief. The year-long DHS funding bill includes more than $26 billion for the Disaster Relief Fund. Democrats are saying they will not fund Homeland Security until the agency makes major changes to immigration and enforcement policies.
Missouri Congressman Wesley Bell, a member of the Oversight and Government Reform Committee that is deposing former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton on Jeffrey Epstein, says media is not being allowed in the hearing.
There are those on the other side of the aisle who do not want that for whatever reason. And so we're going to continue to push for justice. We're going to continue to work to make certain that the victims and survivors are given their due and their voices are heard and that justice is ultimately served.
Bell says the Oversight Committee has not learned anything new.
Governor Pritzker is sticking by his request for $8.6 billion to reimburse Illinois taxpayers now that the Supreme Court has ruled that President Trump's tariffs are illegal.
The fact that it costs working families $1,700 a piece, and that's how we got to $8.6 billion, the effect on Illinois. But I do know that by virtue of us raising this issue, it's being talked about in Congress. And
Pritzker tells MS Now that Congress or the courts will have the ultimate decision.
Illinois lawmakers and advocates are pushing for more investment in the state's human services workforce.
More than 800 frontline workers tell us that they are not making a living wage.
Illinois legislators and a statewide coalition are in Springfield calling for stronger funding for human service workers. Advocates say flat funding in the governor's proposed budget could worsen staffing shortages and limit services for families, seniors, and people with disabilities. A recent study done by the Illinois Partners for Human Service found more than 80% of frontline workers do not earn a living wage. Lawmakers are backing two bills to help address the issue. One would expand student loan repayment programs to recruit and retain workers, while the other would adjust funding to account for inflation and stabilize wages across the human services sector. Glenn Marshall, WBBM.
A North St. Louis County levee district is suing a major nearby landfill. The Post-Dispatch reports the complaint was filed by the Riverport Levee District in Maryland Heights. It alleges that nearby Champ Landfill Company violated the law by discharging excessive pollutants into the levee district's drainage system. The Champ's website says the company accepts about 20% of all waste deposited in the state.
The complaint also claims that illegal discharges over the past 15 years have caused severe sediment buildup and a reduction in the levee's flood protection capacity. The lawsuit says the landfill company worked with the levee district to address the issue to some degree before 2012, but not since then.
Infestus, a consulting firm, will help the city navigate its data center issue and negotiate an agreement with a developer. That's what the Festus City Council unanimously agreed upon last night, with Mayor Sam Richards saying Marks Nelson Advisors will help city leaders work out a deal with long-term benefits for the city and residents.
That didn't sit well with a number of opponents. About 100 people packed the council meeting and lobby, shouting questions and complaints and booing loudly after the unanimous vote. Before the meeting, people protested along West Main Street with signs and banners. Erica Carter told the Post-Dispatch she feels the mayor is just steamrolling ahead, doing what he wants and not listening to citizens.
A Missouri-based coin and precious metal expert says the silver and gold industry is experiencing the most dramatic price increases he's seen in his lifetime. Dave Sorek tells MissouriNet people can form emotional connections to items made of the materials, and their inability to sell those items may be the reason for the price hikes.
Part of the challenge that we have as baby boomers is that we've collected a great deal of things, and we've accumulated a lot of wealth. And the time has come for us to pass that along.
It's now 7:26. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelley Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
For 100 years, KMOX has been a part of St. Louis. Now, those moments live on, preserved, remastered, and ready to be heard again. Discover KMOX from the Archives, a podcast featuring classic audio from a century of service.
Sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original.
The KMOX from the Archives podcast, available now at KMOX100.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Attention business owners with a net income over $500,000. You need to work with a tax strategist that understands your entrepreneurial mindset. Download the most recent white paper written by E3 Consultants Group titled The Power of a Professional Tax Strategy Team. Go to e3wealth.com/radio to obtain a copy. It's time to learn about wealth and tax strategies that protect your personal and business economy. E3 is ready to help you think differently about your finances. Educate, empower, enlighten. That's the E3 difference.
Lifestyles Unlimited is a real estate education group that gives you the roadmap and resources to start building income through real estate. You'll learn practical strategies for using investment properties to create extra income and make informed decisions, one step at a time. Join today for just $297. That's a 60% savings off the regular price of our real estate education program. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
Taking care of your health should be simple. And with the Neovitin monthly subscription, it finally is. Choose your doctor-formulated multivitamin and we'll deliver it straight to your door every month. No more running out, no more remembering to reorder, just consistent nutrition made easy. Plus, subscribers save 10% every month and can pause or cancel at any time. Visit neovitin.com and start your subscription today. Neovitin, trusted nutrition every day.
Taxes was feeling so stuck.
sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Only available with TurboTax experts. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app.
Spring training is here, and Cardinals baseball is heating up in Jupiter as young talent and big expectations take the field. The Gas House Gang is talking Cardinals all day long. Tom Ackerman, Chris Ranchi, Bernie Miklas, smart takes, insightful analysis, real Redbird conversation, plus live reports from Camp Cardinals with Matt Pauley and Mike Claiborne. If it matters to Cards fans, it's on the Gas House Gang. Weekdays at noon on KMOX.
Looks like we have sunny skies, 37 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Megan Lynch.
I'm Debbie Monterrey, and it's going to be a beautiful day today. Hopefully you'll have a chance to get out and enjoy it. We'll get you all the details on that. But first, let's check in with Roger Brand. He is joining us from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center and has the very latest on your Friday morning commute.
Well, and it's not bad. I mean, it's getting busier, Debbie, but all in all, it's pretty easy going Friday morning. Now, they still have this right lane blocked. In fact, EMS showed up. I thought maybe originally it was a stall, but I guess it could be a sick case or something. This is the one that's westbound 64, just west of the Science Center. So it's just a brief delay coming through Kings Highway up to that one. If you're on eastbound 64, from Chesterfield Parkway west to about Timberlake, it's slow from 170 in through to about Bellevue. Sun's in your eyes. South 170, south of Brentwood's busy down to 64. Northbound 270, seeing some volume. Approaching Tesson Ferry to the Sappington Road overpass, and then approaching Manchester up to the Clayton Road overpass, the busiest parts of that run. Northbound 55, a brief backup between Bayless and Weber, and back to seeing just a little bit of a slowdown. Westbound 64, just west of 159 in that construction zone. Eastbound 70 also just a little heavy at our city. Next update is 740 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
And checking the forecast for today, it is going to be sunny and warmer, breezy this afternoon. We're expecting a high near 75 degrees. Clear skies tonight with an overnight low of 40. And then a mix of sun and clouds tomorrow, not quite as warm. And we could see a late day shower in spots, expect a high of 66. We have sunny skies, 39 degrees in Florissant, 35 in St. Peter's, 37 downtown at the Arch.
A fire watch has been issued for the St. Louis region for today. The National Weather Service issuing that red flag warning from noon to 6. Gusty winds, low humidity, and above average temperatures are expected to put the region at risk for quick fire spread.
Family finds the body of an Army veteran 2 days after a house fire. 71-year-old Wayne Van's body was discovered during a house search by his family Thursday after a fire destroyed the house in Wellston Tuesday night. Mid-County Fire Protection District responded to the fire and reportedly told the family no one was inside the house.
Fire Chief Randall Sanders says firefighters were forced to evacuate the building after only 6 minutes because the roof collapsed. The family says that initially they were told cadaver dogs would be brought to search for their loved one, but Sanders says no dogs were available on Wednesday. The family searched the home yesterday morning, and they say it only took them minutes to locate Van's body.
The University of Missouri St. Louis facing a federal civil rights complaint for alleged scholarship discrimination. Our partners at Fox 2 report the complaint also requests a formal investigation be conducted by the Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights.
A group called the Equal Protection Project alleges some scholarships discriminate because preferences are given to minorities. The scholarships in question are advertising a preference for minority applicants, but it's not a requirement.
A 2023 U.S. Supreme Court case ruled scholarships cannot use race as a specific factor for admissions.
St. Louis Public Schools ordered to pay almost $30,000 as part of a settlement with a local advocacy group, Coalition for STL Kids. The coalition says the lawsuit came after the school district's past practices that restricted community voices. The settlement aims to establish better protections for public participation at district meetings and to bolster the right of families and community members to speak without retaliation.
It's now 7:33. This news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hardworking partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
You're still grooving, still connecting, still loving, still turning up, still thriving. You still got it, but your immune system, it weakens as you age. That's where vaccines come in. They help train and strengthen your immune response to fight off respiratory illnesses like flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, or COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Book in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It is 7:34. This is Total Information AM. I'm Debbie Monterrey along with Megan Lynch. Happy Friday. Let's get you your money report from Bloomberg, and it is sponsored by Busey Bank.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. The global smartphone market will shrink by 13% this year due to the memory chip shortage. That's according to researcher IDC, which sees roughly 1.1 billion mobile shipments in 2026, down from 1.26 billion the prior year. The memory shortage is set to extend into next year, with the days of cheap smartphones said to be gone. AMC says it's saving the best seats in the house for loyalty members. The theater chain says members of its A-List and Stubbs Premier memberships will get priority access to better seating. You got to pay up, though, and it's expected to launch later this year. British Airways says bookings are up as it benefits from lower fuel costs and a rebound in transatlantic travel. The airline's owner, IAG, says capacity is forecast to increase by around 3% this year. It says U.S. demand for premium leisure travelers is doing well. The airline group commands a market share of 50% of the North Atlantic route. Matt Piper, Bloomberg Radio.
For nearly 100 years, Busey Wealth Management has helped families and businesses make smart financial decisions that stand the test of time. From personalized investment plans to tax strategies that work for you, we take a big picture approach, connecting you with the right experts to help protect what you've built and plan for what's next. Busey Wealth Management, here for every chapter of your financial story.
For residential and commercial heating repairs, service, maintenance, or installation, contact Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation. With over 50 years of HVAC service, get in your comfort zone this winter. Visit aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
Rush Hour Sports, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here.
Bernie Nicholas joins Rush Hour Sports tonight at 5 on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
More news now at 7:36. Hillary Clinton testifies she has no information on Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and does not recall meeting him. Former Secretary of State Clinton told members of Congress she had no knowledge of those crimes during her 6-hour deposition Thursday. Clinton says the Democratic couple's knowledge of Epstein is very limited. Bill Clinton has not been accused of wrongdoing in his relationship with Epstein, but he's set to testify before Congress today, making him the first former president in more than 50 years to testify before Congress.
U.S. military used a laser to take down a border protection drone, according to lawmakers. The Federal Aviation Administration responded Thursday by closing more airspace near El Paso, Texas. No commercial flights were affected this time. The military apparently used a laser to shoot down a customs and border protection drone. The FAA shut down the El Paso airport and surrounding area just over 2 weeks ago after another use of an anti-drone laser. The Defense Department, Transportation Department, and referred questions to the FAA. The FAA, CBP, and the Pentagon issuing a joint statement saying, acknowledging the military used the anti-drone laser to mitigate what seemed like a threat.
Mediators say that the U.S. and Iran made significant progress in yesterday's talks over Tehran's nuclear program. But after hours of negotiations in Geneva, a deal to avoid a conflict in the Middle East remains elusive. President Trump ordered the biggest buildup of U.S. forces in the region for decades as he weighs taking military action.
Even as the next round of talks are scheduled to take place next week in Vienna, and those are described as technical talks over the details of the plan, even more U.S. military hardware is headed on the way here. Now, we're expecting the arrival of the largest aircraft carrier in the world. That's a Gerald R. Ford.
CBS's Charlie D'Agata reporting from Tel Aviv.
Last year in 2025, a record number of journalists were killed, 129.
The Committee to Protect Journalists says 2/3 of last year's deaths were caused by Israel's military amid the war in Gaza. Yesterday, UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk condemned the killings of Palestinian journalists.
My office has verified that 292 were killed in Israeli operations since 7 October 2023.
In a statement, the Israel Defense Forces says it doesn't intentionally harm journalists. Israel has claimed some of those killed were legitimate targets who were working with Hamas. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
A moment in nature can have real benefits for the brain. Here's correspondent Bradley Blackburn.
Researchers at McGill University looked at more than 100 brain imaging studies and found exposure to nature, even a couple minutes walking in a park, can provide a mental reset. Data shows time outdoors lets stress systems settle, quiets mental rumination, and helps restore attention to real-world surroundings. Researchers also say time in nature encourages people to take better care of Mother Earth.
There are some healthy changes ahead in the breakfast department.
Attention Target shoppers. You won't be able to find artificial coloring in the cereal aisle come June. The chain says 100% of the cereal it sells will be made from products without certified synthetic colors by the end of May. It's already ditched all but 15%. The new announcement may shut out Lucky Charms and others for a while. General Mills isn't expected to eliminate artificial colors until the end of the year. Walmart has said it will remove synthetic dyes from its private label foods by 2027 as companies respond to Health Secretary Kennedy's crackdown on ultra-processed foods and additives. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
It is 7:40. Let's see how things are rolling on the roads. Roger Brand is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, this should be the peak time for rush hour traffic, Megan. It doesn't look bad on a Friday, though, but it certainly is busier. If you're on northbound 55, it's just kind of slow. Bayless up to River to Pear, North 270 as you ramp on from 55, just a little slow at the merge on. It's a little slow north of Sappington to Gravois. Doherty Ferry up to Manchester, and north of there up toward Clayton Road, a couple of spots where it's busy. Southbound 270, barely slow getting into the work zone right around Ladue. Eastbound 64, bogged down from Clarkson to about Timberlake. McKnight to Big Bend is pretty heavy. South 170 slows at the Parkway. Westbound 64 is still a little heavy coming through Kings Highway, the Science Center. They did open up that right lane, but they sort of have the right lane partially blocked still, just a little bit into the traffic lane there from that earlier minor incident we had. Downtown westbound 64, just a little slow Route 3 to the Poplar, but it looks good on westbound 64 through the O'Fallon Fairview Heights area, and that is all she wrote. The rest of these highways have been great all morning and really continue to roll along pretty nicely no matter where else you are. If you're on the run on southbound 170, like I mentioned at Brentwood, but coming up down from 270 on the north end, it looks good. And 55 in Festus is still clear. Next update is 750 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
7:41. We've got bright sunshine in downtown St. Louis. It's not warming up too quickly, but let's get the latest from our AccuWeather meteorologist, Joe Lundberg.
Give it time, Debbie. The sun's only been up for an hour, but as it gets higher and higher, the breeze picks up, the temperature will jump through the 40s, then 50s, 60s, all the way to 75 this afternoon. Tonight should be clear. Those winds will lighten up and will drop to about 40. Tomorrow, a mix of sun and clouds. It won't be as warm. There could be a late day shower with the next front moving through the high 66. It's going to be a lot colder behind it. On Sunday, cloudy skies, perhaps a little rain toward evening. I think most of the precipitation waits until after dark, the high 45. And then there could be a wintry mess for a time Sunday night and early Monday. Rain, especially from the city on south, but sleet and snow more preferred north of the city where there can be some accumulation. Behind it, cloudy, chilly for Monday, mid-40s. Cloudy with some rain Tuesday, the high 53. Then it gets much warmer again the second half of next week. Right now, 38 at St. Peter's, 39 at Florissant, sunny, 41 downtown at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
I'm Joe Pott. Lots of basketball straight ahead in sports.
More news now at 7:42. Criminals have a new way to steal from banks. It's called ATM jackpotting. It essentially renders the machine to continually spit out money like a slot machine would. FBI Special Agent David Herr says thieves use a hard drive or thumb drive to upload malware.
Unfortunately, it's not that hard to do it. They're actually able to open the machine in such a way that when they're done and they close the machine back up, somebody passing by is not going to know that they've actually got into the machine.
Her says, we haven't seen this as much here as across the country, but tells KMOX last summer 4 people went on a spree from O'Fallon, Missouri to Cape Girardeau.
For years, KMOX was reporting when deplorable conditions existed at St. Louis County Animal Care and Control. Maria Kina has an update on some positive changes.
We've actually changed a lot of our processes and protocols and doing a lot at intake as well, making sure we don't miss vaccinations or miss doing the initial evaluation at intake.
St. Louis County Health Director Dr. Kanika Cunningham, who oversees animal care and control, is referencing something that was not done this time last year. The tumultuous 2025 brought an outbreak of parvovirus. 19 dogs were euthanized. The medical director resigned, and the facility temporarily lost its license. But now they keep new admissions isolated from the regular pet population as to avoid viruses like parvo from killing other dogs.
One thing that, I really was encouraging was our increasing our community engagement and having true programming about animal welfare. So one thing that we've done with our volunteer program, we can do doggy day outs now. We do pack walks. That didn't exist before.
Maria Kina, KMOX News.
You've probably heard of the emerald ash borer that's decimated ash trees. Alex Hall with Davey Tree says we're now seeing the bronze birch borer, which has jumped tree types.
This borer only affected a certain type of white birch. We have a lot of river birches they have kind of the peeling bark, the exfoliating bark. This pest has now jumped from its original host, and it's kind of affecting our urban river birches now as well.
Hall says don't wait until you see a problem. If you want to save an ash or birch, get the tree injected if that's within your means. Also, cut down honeysuckle, which he calls one of the most pervasive invasive plants. It is National Invasive Species Awareness Week.
If you want a bite to eat late at night, you can find sidewalk food vendors downtown like Overtime Grill that sets up at Tucker and Washington. They're often serving food until 3 a.m. For now, 2 downtown community groups want to put an end to that. Washington Avenue Community Improvement District's Matt O'Leary tells the Post-Dispatch the food vendors, while they're not causing it, contribute to the late-night chaos and violence.
The food vendors say their services are actually helping revive a downtown hit hard by the pandemic and consider their food offerings an amenity. According to city code, sidewalk vendors are only allowed to operate until 11 p.m., but Washington Avenue food carts, right now there are 2, have a special permit to stay open later.
All right, since everybody loved it, I'm just going to bring it back.
This is the NBA on NBC.
The Saturday Night Live skit that goes along with that, too, is also really funny if you haven't seen that. That's the old NBA on NBC theme. Round Ball Rock is what it's called. Of course, this year, the NBC and how about NBC and the NBA? They have reunited with NBC picking up coverage of the league again, but now they're going to party like it's the late 90s.
Hi again, everybody. I'm Bob Costas, and welcome to these NBA Finals. With due respect to the Seattle Supersonics and apologies to their fans, the prevailing attitude in Chicago and through most of the country, really, is that these NBA Finals loom not so much as a competition as a coronation.
That's Bob Costas at the start of the 1996 Finals. That was the 72-win Chicago Bulls team, which took on the Seattle Supersonics, now the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Bulls won that 4-2. Next week, on Tuesday, Bob Costas will be joined by Mike Fratello and Doug Collins. They were all on the NBC broadcast of NBA games in the 90s. Tuesday, they will get together as part of Throwback Night. The Spurs and the 76ers is the game in question. Jim Gray will serve as the sideline reporter. Hannah Storm, Isaiah Thomas, and PJ Carlissimo will handle the studio hosting duties. And it's not just the broadcasters. The broadcast itself will feature late 90s graphics and what NBC calls familiar components from that era of the NBA on NBC. And it all starts Tuesday at 6 o'clock Central Time. Regular season is winding down for area college basketball teams. SIUE and Lindenwood all in their final weekend of the regular season. Last night, SIUE over Western Illinois, 67-47. That secured the 5th seed for the OVC tournament for the Cougars. That's coming up next week in Evansville, Indiana. SIUE is 18-12 in the overall record and plays host to Eastern Illinois to close out the regular season tomorrow at 3:30. Lindenwood lost to Eastern Illinois last night. They will have the 6th seed in the tournament and they've got Western Illinois tomorrow. The 23rd ranked Billikens have 3 games to play in the regular season. They have Duquesne tomorrow night at Chaifetz Arena. The Bills are 25-3 overall, 13-2 in the A10, and SLU leads the league by a game over VCU. It's a 7 o'clock tip tomorrow. If you can't be there, listen here. 6:45 pregame show with Bob Ramsey and Earl Austin Jr. And one last 1990s note for you on this day. In 1999, the St. Louis Arena was imploded. It, of course, had closed a few years earlier. I'm Joe Pott on your home of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
In a world of change, music captures the journey of the human spirit. Join the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra for Bernstein and Robertson, American Reflections, March 6th and 7th. Conductor David Robertson returns to Powell Hall to present works by 4 American luminaries, including Leonard Bernstein's Symphony No. 2 and Robertson's own piano concerto, March 6th and 7th at Powell Hall at the Jack C. Taylor Music Center. Tickets at slso.org.
Get everything for your next project at Menards and save big money. We carry everything to help you breathe easier. Allergen air filters help prevent seasonal allergy symptoms and improve your indoor air quality by capturing microparticles while allowing maximum airflow. Save big on all allergen air filters when you shop at Menards. View the weekly flyer and all of our great deals happening this week on Menards.com.
Save big money at Menards.
St. Louis, get ready. One of the most powerful voices in country music is coming to the Dome at America Center on March 7th. Zach Bryan, live in concert.
It'll be fun, but those clubs, I'm telling you, baby.
With the songs you know by heart.
You can see them now.
One night, one stage, an unforgettable night of raw, honest music. Tickets available now at Ticketmaster.com. For more information, KMOX.com/events.
Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Hey, guess what? We're going to go roaming with Scott Jagow. So get your thinking caps on and see if you can guess where he's been, along with those of us here in Studio B. In the meantime, Roger Brand is going to tell us what's happening on your ride in from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Debbie, they're still partially blocking the right lane westbound 64 just west of the Science Center from the earlier incidents. There's just a little slowdown through that point, and then it's still slow. Clayton Warson headed out to about Big Bend. If you're on eastbound 64, you still got a little slowdown between Clarkson and Timberlake. It's slow coming through Ballas and McKnight into Big Bend is heavy. South 170 actually has a backup from the Parkway on down. We have an incident westbound 44 right at Shrewsbury. Westbound 44 is backed up pretty close to Jamison. Eastbound 44 not bothered by it, though, thankfully. Northbound 270 slows you ramp on from 55. Gravois midway to 44. Doherty Ferry to Manchester and a couple of pockets north of there up toward Ladue. South 270 through Olive down to 64. There's a couple of slowdowns. Northbound 55 Bayless up to Rue de Pere. Westbound 64 heavy on the Poplar. Eastbound 64 slow east of 157. Next update is 7:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
And checking that forecast for today, it's going to be breezy this afternoon, sunny and warmer, a high of 75 degrees. Clear skies tonight with an overnight low of 40. And then we could see a shower tomorrow late in the day, a mix of sun and clouds, and not quite as warm, a high of 66. Right now we have 37 degrees, sunny skies downtown at the Arch.
Next time somebody says, St. Louis, what's St. Louis got?
All right, you know how this game works. Scott Jagow plays clues, and Megan Lynch, Joe Pott, and I, Debbie Monterrey, try to guess. Hi,
That's
Scott.
right. Good morning.
What are our odds?
I don't know. You?
Right? Yep, exactly. What are everybody else's odds?
Stop.
I think you
outside
feed
of
her
Debbie?
the answers beforehand.
He absolutely does not.
I do not. I don't know. It's we'll just go and see what happens. All right, here's the first clue.
We started roasting about 7 years ago in the space we're sitting right now. The reason we actually started roasting is to help our childhood friends, family, import their coffee on better prices.
Oh, coffee roasting.
Roasting some coffee.
So we're getting right down to the brass tacks. His accent's a little hard to understand. You'll understand why in a minute, but he said that he was helping out a family friend back home by importing their coffee and giving better prices.
Okay.
So that's how they got started. Tell me about growing up in Honduras.
It's an experience. You have to live it to know what I'm talking about. it's a learning process, of course, a little more struggle, some basic needs, but overall, I feel like it's a good place to actually build character too.
I love that answer. Good place to build character.
Yeah. I know. I was thinking, okay, let's see. From his accent, is it Ecuador? Is it Honduras? Where do they grow coffee?
Yeah.
So it's Honduras. Okay.
It's Honduras. And so he came to this country several years ago, working in construction.
Actually, his English is excellent for having come here a couple of years ago.
It is. It a few years ago. But what I was saying, he came to work in construction for a friend or something. But coffee is his first love, and he has brought it here to St. Louis. So we'll continue with the next clue.
It's our daily beverage. Doesn't matter how hot it is, we'll still drink hot coffee.
It doesn't matter how hot it is?
No, yeah, it's it's a tropical country, so it's always hot, and we will always be drinking hot coffee.
Even in the hot summers, you drink coffee, but do you drink cold coffee?
Honestly,
no.
No.
He was funny about this. He serves it cold coffee if people want it cold brew and all that, because that's a big trend these days. But in Honduras, he says everyone drinks hot coffee, even if it's 100 degrees. It's just the daily beverage that they drink, and it doesn't matter whether it's hot or cold. They are drinking hot coffee.
I feel that.
I'm right there with
Me too.
him.
I agree.
Yeah. I'm not a cold coffee person
agree.
either.
I do like iced coffee, but get the hot coffee and then get your own cup of ice cubes to pour it over.
Okay.
Because otherwise, it's just a ripoff.
There you go. All right, I got 2 more clues.
for a coffee shop, I feel like frying stuff in the morning, it's not the best to pair with coffee. So actually we went with the style more in the South American style. So bacon and flour dough. Like
So baked, yes. Okay. And then what's inside?
Scrambled eggs, bacon, cheese. We have done ratatouille empanada, lox empanadas, carne asada empanadas. Think about anything we can stuff at empanada with.
Yeah, I should have thought about bringing.
I can see Scott's desk from here. I was just checking, just to make sure that I didn't miss the sample.
I don't see any. I don't see any.
We're going to restrict you from doing any more restaurants until you bring us food.
All right. Empanadas that's their thing.
Yeah.
They've made 50 different kinds.
Wow.
So that's their specialty food wise. They right now have a cheeseburger one on special.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
Seriously. All right. I've got one more clue.
Okay.
Fox Park, being the neighborhood, but this is a very busy intersection. Like Jefferson near Gravway.
Technically, we are within 4 neighborhoods. So this side of Jefferson, Fox Park, across from us, McKinley High, like in the other corner, Benton Park, and in the other corner, Benton Park West. So
Benton Park West,
yes.
and then Soulard's is just behind it.
It's all walkable.
So that's exactly where it is. Do you think you know?
No.
You don't?
No. I mean, I'm envisioning the intersection and thinking, has something new gone in?
No,
I haven't been
it's
paying
not that
attention.
new. Yeah, it's one of those places you might walk by it a million times. It's next to Press Pizza. You know where that is?
I do not know.
I was
I'm
just
gonna have to
over in
drive
that
by there
area
today.
last week, and I'm trying to picture it.
All right, I'll have to tell you.
Yeah, tell us.
It's called Coffee Stamp.
Coffee Stamp.
And that's Patrick Clapp from Honduras who runs the place. And I highly recommend it. The coffee is amazing. And the empanadas are good too. I'll have to bring
great.
I'll have to bring some in next time.
Now, do they? What are their hours like? Do they do breakfast
I
and
think
lunch
it's 7 to 2.
empanadas? Okay.
7 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Okay. So
Is there a wrong time to eat an empanada?
well, I was just asking, like, could I get a dinner empanada?
Right?
Yeah.
Because we're kind of stuck here for breakfast empanadas. All right. Well, we'll hear more about this.
Yeah, 8:20 and 9:20 on Sunday morning.
That is Scott Jagow roaming St. Louis here on KMOX.
Race car drivers like NASCAR champion Jesse Love are a lot like commercial drivers, pros, but even the best watch the tape to see what they missed and get better next time. The Samsara driving coach does the same for your fleet, giving drivers real-time feedback to build safer habits. Samsara's AI uses billions of miles of real driving data to help fleets prevent accidents and protect drivers.
If it makes me a better driver, it'll make your fleet unstoppable.
Because even champions need a coach. Learn more at Samsara.com.
Time you spent money, you saved money too. With Achieve It Checking from Together Credit Union, you can do just that. Every debit card purchase is rounded up to the nearest dollar, and the spare change goes right into your savings. And here's the best part. Together Credit Union boosts your progress by matching qualifying savings up to $8 a month. It's a free checking account that helps you achieve more automatically. Learn more, or better yet, enroll today at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Hereeth my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times?
You're playing the lute. Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
Breakfast burritos for the morning brainstorm. Easy Cater. Paninis for the lunch and learn. Easy Cater. Barbecue for the clients from Boston. Easy Cater. Brownie boxes and mini bundt cakes for Brenda's workiversary. Easy Cater. One simple platform to feed any size group with food they love from favorite restaurants, plus tools to help you meet dietary needs and stay on budget. Easy Cater. All the food for your workplace, all in one place. Start an order at easycater.com.
When you get hurt, you don't want to end up on the injured list. You want to get back in the game, stronger than ever. At Morgan & Morgan, we're the home run hitters you need. Morgan & Morgan, proud sponsor of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
I love this song. I love nachos.
Loving everything? You might be buzzed.
You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Let's get another update on the roads with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, the backup doesn't look quite as bad on westbound 44, Megan, but I'd still call it almost arsenal across River to Parrots Road work. The right lane is closed westbound 44. The reason for that jam, if you're on eastbound 64, it's still heavy. McKnight headed through Big Bend. Westbound 64 is still a little slow past the Science Center due to an incident, and Clayton Skinker to Big Bend. From the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Today is Friday, February 27th. I'm Debbie Monterrey. This new generation of doctors has never seen measles. After the news, find out what that means for emergency rooms.
I'm Megan Lynch. It's been a contentious week for the St. Louis County Executive and County Council. We'll bring you up to speed.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. A sunny day today, a breezy, warmer afternoon, the high up to 75.
Coming up in CBS News, Bill Clinton becomes the first former president in more than 50 years to testify before Congress.
Celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining. KMOX AM St. Louis, KMOX FM Hazelwood, the voice of St. Louis.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. A day after his wife testified, a former president is set to make history in 2 hours when he's deposed behind closed doors in a high-profile sexual abuse case. Correspondent Jared Hill.
Today, former President Bill Clinton takes the hot seat as House lawmakers probe for answers about the nature of his ties to late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. While recently released Epstein files include pictures of and flight logs that show former President Clinton flew on Epstein's private plane, both Clintons have denied knowing about Epstein's crimes, and neither has been accused of any wrongdoing.
He'll be the first former president in more than 50 years to testify before Congress. Yesterday, Hillary Clinton underwent 6 hours of questioning. We've learned the U.S. government accidentally shot down a Customs and Border Protection drone in southwest Texas with a laser this week. Transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve.
That drone was apparently operating in the area around Fort Hancock, which is outside of El Paso, and it appears the Pentagon wasn't alerted by CBP in advance.
It comes 2 weeks after a drone downing closed airspace around the El Paso airport. U.S. officials tell CBS News at least one person was killed, one captured from a speedboat in the waters off northern Cuba. They were U.S. citizens. Correspondent Nancy Cordes.
Ibrahim Bosch was friends with Michelle Ortega Casanova, who was one of the 4 killed in the crossfire.
Estos son los nuevos héroes de la libertad de Cuba.
The people on board are heroes, Bosch says, fighting for Cuba's freedom.
The boat, registered in the Florida Keys, was reported stolen. A new survey finds fewer people sympathize with Israel and its conflict with the Palestinians.
The latest Gallup poll finds a majority of Americans, 41%, sympathize with the Palestinians. 36% sympathize with Israel, down from 54% 3 years ago before Hamas attacked Israel. It seems many Americans believe Israel's response to the attack has been disproportionate. Only 2 in 10 Democrats and 3 in 10 independents say their concerns lie more with the Israelis. 7 in 10 Republicans still side with Israel, but that's down slightly from 8 in 10 before the war. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
More problems for NASA's Artemis program. The space agency will give an update next hour after a helium flow issue delayed a launch to at least April. Former astronaut Dr. Scott Parazinski.
This will be the first crewed mission to the moon in decades, of course. We've got to troubleshoot it, make sure that it's safe to commit the crew to going off to the moon.
Dow futures are down 531. This is CBS News.
You still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored by...
At 8:03, we have sunny skies, 40 degrees downtown at the Arch. Today is Friday, February 27th. I'm Megan Lynch. A fire watch is issued for the St. Louis region today. The National Weather Service issued a red flag warning for the St. Louis region from noon to 6. Gusty winds, low humidity, and above average temperatures expected to put the region at risk for quick fire spread. The University of Missouri St. Louis facing a federal civil rights complaint for alleged scholarship discrimination. Our partners at Fox 2 report the complaint also requests a formal investigation be conducted by the Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights.
A group called the Equal Protection Project alleges some scholarships discriminate because preferences are given to minorities. The scholarships in question are advertising a preference for minority applicants, but it's not a requirement.
A 2023 U.S. Supreme Court case ruled scholarships cannot use race as a specific factor for admissions. A free speech settlement has been reached with St. Louis Public Schools. The district ordered to pay almost $30,000 as part of that settlement with local advocacy group Coalition for STL Kids. The coalition says the lawsuit comes after the school district's past practices that they say restricted community voices. It aims to establish better protections for public participation at district meetings and to bolster the right of families and community members to speak without retaliation. St. Louis Public Schools are pushing back changes in school start times. The Post-Dispatch reports the decision comes as the school district braces for the second half of a scrutinizing state audit. After announcing a plan earlier this week to push the middle and high school start bells from 7:15 a.m. to 8 or later starting next August, district officials now say they won't make any changes to the bell schedules until the fall of 2027. The district says the change is intended to improve attendance and academics through later start times, but the change could cost the district up to $5 million, namely to run 30 additional buses. The full audit will be released to the public in 2 weeks. Local sleep experts were applauding an effort by St. Louis City Schools to possibly move start times a little later in the morning to address sleep deprivation issues in some students. KMOX health editor Fred Bottomer reports.
Cardinal Glennon pediatric sleep medicine specialist Dr. Brent Haberman tells KMOX, believe it or not,
teenagers actually need more sleep than adults. And a pretty significant amount of more sleep. So they need about 8 to 10 hours of sleep per night. And moving back the start times of school has been shown to really help improve sleep duration in teenagers.
St. Louis Public School officials have proposed moving from a start time as early as 7:15 a.m. to maybe 8 a.m. or 9:30 a.m. to better align with adolescent circadian rhythms. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
A citizen-led campaign wants a sales tax increase in St. Louis City to subsidize early child care. Best Start for Kids STL officially launches a signature petition campaign this weekend to try to place the measure on the November ballot. The coalition of more than 100 organizations is seeking a dedicated 1/2 cent sales tax in the city to support child care options. Campaign manager Mackenzie Grayson says some of the funding would go directly to families.
Providers will be able to have access to grants that will help them improve teacher pay. It will help them be able to offer benefits to their teachers, also to help them improve their learning environment.
Similar measures were approved by voters in California and Colorado communities last year. From the KMOX Business Desk, reinstating a tax credit is paid off when it comes to bringing film and TV production back to the Show Me State. According to the Missouri Film Office and the Department of Economic Development, production spent more than $40 million in the state last year, more than $11 million of that in St. Louis. St. Louis-based Cool Fire Studios oversaw 14 local productions that spent more than $2 million. We'll check traffic and weather in 2 minutes. It's 8:08.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan with McKelvey Homes. It's a great time to buy a brand new home, and Cottleville Trails has everything you've been looking for. Located at Highway 364 in Guttermouth, you will love the 5 lakes, pools, playground, and Francis Howell schools. It's a community where you know your neighbors. Take your golf cart or walk the trails to downtown Cottleville for coffee, dinner, or lunch at Menino's Market, my new favorite sandwich shop. Visit McKelveyHomes.com. It's time to move up to McKelvey.
Zach Bryan with Heaven on Tour.
Poison myself again. Something in the orange tells me you'll never
Saturday,
call me
March
home.
7th, the Dome at America's Center.
Wish I didn't, but I do. Remember every moment on the night.
With special guests, Camp and J.R. Carroll. Tickets are on sale now at ZachBryan.com.
I think I heard you coming.
Don't miss Zach Bryan live.
Start your summer early at the St. Charles Boat Show, March 5th through 8th at the St. Charles Convention Center. The top marine dealers from the Lake of the Ozarks will be on site with the newest boats, personal watercraft, docks, and accessories. Step aboard, compare models, and find the perfect ride for your family. Special show pricing and experts ready to help make your boating dreams a reality. Visit lakeoftheozarksboatdealers.com for more information.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It's 8:10. We owe you a check of the roads. Roger Brand has more for you from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we still got the road work back up, Megan, on westbound 44. That right lane's closed as you get across River to Pear. Traffic is jammed back through to Arsenal on westbound 44. That's the biggest jam we have out there on the interstates right now. We have slow going in other places. Eastbound 64 is still kind of slow west of McKnight through Big Bend. Westbound 64, Clayton Skinker headed out to Hanley is heavy. Northbound 270 just a little busy at that 55 merge on. And then Manchester up to Clayton Road looks like it's a little off the pace. Downtown, eastbound 44, there's a crash as you get onto the Poplar Street Bridge. So you've got delays back through Park Avenue on eastbound 44, again, primarily in the right lanes there. But westbound 64 looks good on the Poplar, and it's cleared out on 64 in that area around Fairview Heights where you're seeing delays earlier. Next update at 8:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Plenty of sunshine today, breezy and warmer this afternoon with a high of 75. Tonight will be mainly clear, low 40. Sunshine mixing with clouds tomorrow, not quite as warm. There could be a late day shower, high 66. Sunday, cloudy, breezy, much chillier, perhaps some rain toward evening, the high 45. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
We have sunny skies now, 40 degrees downtown at the Arch. This is Total Information AM on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. Many U.S. hospitals are facing the possibility that a measles patient will walk in the door. And as our next guest found out, many healthcare workers have never seen measles before to know what it looks like. Reporter Andrew Jones is a rural health correspondent and looked at the issue for KFF Health News. Welcome to KMOX.
Hi there. Thank you for having me.
My first question is, when someone walks into a clinic or an ER, who's doing the triage to determine what happens next with a patient that may have measles?
I mean, it really can depend on the size of the clinic or the environment that it's in. But if we're talking about a situation like I wrote about where it was a hospital, you're probably going to have either a nurse or an ER physician that's checking out the patient. It really does depend. And I did focus on doctors in my reporting, but I will say that all healthcare workers are involved in screening patients before they come in. And what we're seeing now is that instead of actually seeing patients in the waiting room, because of the outbreak in certain areas, we're actually seeing healthcare workers go out to folks' car, or even before that, they'll go and get on a phone call and say, hey, what type of symptoms do we have? Is it possible that there's a measles infection here? And so there's really several layers that have been set up as a result of the outbreak in several areas, like we have in South Carolina, just an hour from me, and now in North Carolina in my home county.
What do medical staff tell you about the training that they've received on identifying measles and then following protocol for managing those patients?
Yeah, so there's a training that's kind of been, time out of mind. So it's existed for quite a long time, but we began to see it pop up a little bit more urgently early last year when, as your listeners will know, the measles outbreak was especially hitting the South. Texas was the state that had the largest outbreak until South Carolina's. And what we saw is training around something called 3 C's. And those 3 C's stand for cough, coryza, and conjunctivitis, which is basically a cough, cold symptoms, and pink eye. And essentially, staff are trained to notice those 3 things. And if they flag all 3 of them, they want to go a couple of steps further and maybe do testing that finds out whether measles is present or not. And the interesting thing about that is those 3 symptoms, those 3 C's, are really common for a lot of flu-like diseases. In fact, there's a word out there that I discovered in the course of this reporting called morbilliform, and that word means measles-like. And there are lots of things, especially in kids, that are measles-like, which makes it incredibly kind of difficult to identify, especially in the early stages of this sickness, whether or not it's measles. The rash doesn't even show up for several days in lots of cases. And so, yeah, the training definitely exists. Staff have received that across the country. Is it sufficient to be able to identify measles in every single case? Most definitely not, especially getting to the point of my article, is that really most healthcare providers in the US have not seen this disease before because it was eliminated in 2000. We just haven't seen it.
Walk me through the example that you did give in your article for KFF Health News, where there was some kids that came into an ER with symptoms.
Yeah, so we had a really unique opportunity to be able to look at the moment measles starts in a locale. So I live in Asheville, North Carolina, where the largest hospital is Mission Hospital. And cases had been raging about an hour south in upstate South Carolina. And so I think we were all sort of nervous about when cases would work their ways up here. And so then on January 4 at 2 a.m. in the morning, what happens is twin boys come into the emergency room at Mission, and they have symptoms, those 3 C symptoms. And they sit there for a couple of hours, and they go to a couple of waiting rooms. One is the general waiting room, and then another is a smaller waiting room that is only partitioned off from people using a plastic sheet. And for those 2 hours, they are not diagnosed to have measles. So given the power of this disease, it's one of the most, researchers believe, infectious diseases out there. And so by the time a doctor actually figures out that, yes, this is a measles case, we have 2 measles cases here, 26 people in the ER have been exposed, right? And the kids, after they are diagnosed, are sent home with instructions to isolate, to quarantine, and let the disease run its course. And the reason we know all of this is not because we actually spoke to sources, but because we did a public records request for inspection reports from the federal government, which showed up at this hospital, investigated this incident, noted that the training had happened, and actually penalized the hospital for this instance. There were some other things that had happened there that they also penalized them for, but they looked at this one and said, staff was trained, they should have known how to identify this disease, and this exposure should not have happened. Now, I spoke to sources who are experts in the field that said they believed it was pretty extreme that the federal government actually penalized the hospital because, going back to this situation, it's very difficult to identify measles, and especially in a packed emergency room at 2 a.m. in the morning. I can only imagine that added a layer of difficulty to identify the illness on top of, the other stresses that existed there.
Do you feel from your reporting that hospitals actually have the capacity to adequately quarantine if they suspect a measles case or even the start of an outbreak?
Yeah, I think a lot of hospitals have the necessary resources. You know, yes, there's a special type of room where air gets sort of sucked inwards instead of moving outwards that many hospitals have, and patients can be isolated in there. I think it's more than anything a matter of knowing how to identify the disease, the sickness very quickly, right? And so hospitals may have the resources to be able to do that, the tools to be able to do that. But the question is, do they have the know-how, right? So I've been speaking to physicians across the state of North Carolina who've said, we're putting posters up on the wall. We are training staff over and over again. We are having conversations with public health about what it looks like to identify this disease so that they can do that quickly. Now, the thing that kind of sparked my interest in this reporting and had me, wanting to look a little bit deeper is I was thinking, well, hospitals, physicians' offices, clinics across the United States, I wonder how much they're actually preparing for this, because we're seeing measles hop state lines in a way that's kind of difficult to track. Somebody gets on an airplane, they end up at an airport, and there's a potentially an outbreak, or maybe it starts at a school. It's kind of difficult to tell where the virus is going to hit next. So my question is, in the states that don't have an outbreak right now, or in the states that don't have an outbreak in a neighboring state, are they prepared? Have they done the training? Do they have the resources? Are they ready for the potential of this very difficult to identify virus to show up in their waiting rooms? And I don't think I have the answer to that. But one thing that I can say is experts said that unfortunately they are not receiving as much support from Health and Human Services, federal Health and Human Services, as they have for previous viruses.
That's Andrew Jones. You can find his reporting at kffhealthnews.org. Time to check the roads now with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we still got the roadwork jam on 44, Megan. This traffic reports the service of Meadowview Memory Care. Westbound 44, right lane's closed as you get across the river to Pear. It's a solid jam back to about Arsenal. Downtown, they cleared that crash. Eastbound 44 at the Poplar, it's just a little slowdown approaching the bridge now, so that's doing better. If you're on eastbound 64, there's still slow traffic. McKnight to Big Bend. Westbound 64, Clayton Skinker to Big Bend is slow. South 170 south of the Parkway is kind of busy. North 270 is thinned out. Northbound 55 is thinned out. Westbound 64, barely a slowdown approaching the Poplars. It really doesn't look bad on the rest of these area interstates. I'm Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It's going to be a really warm day today. We're expecting a high around 75 degrees. Clear skies tonight, an overnight low around 40. And then tomorrow, a mix of sun and clouds, not quite as warm. We'll see a late day shower in spots, a high of 66 by Sunday. Cloudy, breezy, much colder, perhaps a little rain late, a high 45. Right now, we have sunny skies, 40 degrees downtown at the Arch.
Discover Meadowview Memory Care in Arnold, a small, secure community on a beautiful campus. Enjoy peace of mind with all our inclusive rates and comfortable private suites. Schedule your tour today at rspseniorliving.com.
Attention all dog owners. If you have ever listened to the radio or TV for any length of time, you've probably heard of America's #1 dog supplement, Rough Greens. Greetings, naturopathy Dr. Dennis Black, Amazon best-selling author and founder of Rough Greens here. And if your dog suffers from bad breath, itchy skin, licking paws, joint pain, or low energy, the truth is their food is probably to blame. You see, all commercial dog food is dead food. That's why I created Rough Greens. One daily scoop gives your pup the live vitamins, omega oils, probiotics, and enzymes that will bring their food back to life. Don't believe me? Let your dog try it before you buy it. I'll send you a free Jumpstart trial bag, risk-free. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com. That's ruffgreens.com. Use discount code NEWS. Don't wait. Give your dog the gift of vibrant health. Order now. It'll be at your house in a few days. Go to roughgreens.com. That's ruffgreens.com. Discount code NEWS for your free Jumpstart trial bag today. Rough Green. We make any dog food better.
Start the new year off on a healthier note by taking active liver supplements from New Nordic every day. Available online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com or at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or Wegmans.
In case you missed it, Total Information AM is recapping some of the biggest local and state stories that crossed our news desk this week, starting with a week of conflict between the St. Louis County Executive and the St. Louis County Council. County Executive Sam Page ordered a halt to lease talks at the former Northwest Plaza Mall, saying the County Council has contaminated the process. In a public statement, Page blasted the council for what he says was interjecting itself into the negotiating process. He accused members of disrespecting county staff. KMOX's Maria Kina asked Councilman Mark Harder what happened in closed-door meetings.
Was there problems there between the council and the negotiating staff?
No, I wouldn't call it that, but I think we all voiced our opinions of how this was moving along or not moving along.
Later in the week, Councilwoman Shalonda Webb accused Dr. Page of putting his staff in the crosshairs.
Dr. Page, you should be embarrassed for what you have driven your leaders to have to do. Carrying your water has caused them to make decisions that they in their own right would not make.
No progress on that lease issue, which ultimately will need council approval. And speaking of water, council members are pushing back on plans announced earlier this month to close 2 public pools.
He is throwing a temper tantrum because he did not get his way.
That's Councilman Michael Archer, who cited deferred maintenance for the closure of the public pools. Here's Executive Sam Page.
Nobody's happy with the reduction of services, but that's the choice we have to make. We have a budget that is not designed to provide the same level of service as the year before.
Page also pointed to significant cuts in the Department of Revenue that he says will mean longer waits on the phone, longer lines, and argued for more staff to enforce liquor license and video gambling machine bans. Councilman Dennis Hancock.
When did the county executive become the chief law enforcement officer of St. Louis County?
Page also vetoed 2 bills that would have given raises to the next county executive and next assessor when they take office next year. In other news, state lawmakers are considering ways to crack down on bad behavior. Illinois could soon have one of the strictest drunk driving laws in the country. Here's Sarah Herrera.
Lawmakers are considering lowering the legal blood alcohol limit for a DUI from 0.08 to 0.05. House Bill 4333, filed by State Representative Daniel Dittich, would update state law across the board, covering drivers, boaters, and even snowmobilers. Supporters say a lower limit could save lives, pointing to Utah, the only state with a 0.05 standard. The bill is now in committee and has not yet been set for a hearing.
In Missouri, the Republican-controlled Missouri House has voted to broaden the state attorney general's power to arrest and detain individuals. It gives the attorney general the power to appoint investigators who would have the same arrest powers as other peace officers. And a St. Louis County lawmaker wants to give patients the right to go after doctors if use of AI constitutes medical malpractice.
Artificial intelligence is changing the way medicine is practiced, and this raises new questions about how to use it safely and who can be held accountable when something goes wrong.
That's State Senator Doug Beck. He told KMOX's Total Information AM that his legislation would cover negligent AI use in everything from diagnosis to treatment. We're going to get more on the DOJ and their investigation of the special school district with Maria Kina. That's coming up at the bottom of the hour. It's now 8:26, and this time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelley Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Febreze. New Febreze Air Mist has 50% more odor fighters and up to 30% more fragrance than the old formula. So now you can take on 100% more stinky odors, like sweaty gym bags, greasy cooking smells, and the after effects of the dog rolling around in something. Just spray, and new Febreze Air instantly restores just clean freshness. Smell you later, odor.
Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la. If you love sports, this is the show for you. It's You Better You Bet with me, Nick Costos. Weekday mornings 9 to noon Eastern on the free Odyssey app and YouTube at The Costos. Bringing you the biggest NFL news, guests, and notes from the offseason while getting you ready to win the madness of college hoops. It's You Better You Bet with me, Nick Costos. Live and interactive, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to noon Eastern, presented by BetMGM. Download the Odyssey app and listen from anywhere for sports talk from people who love sports.
Jen, I didn't know you shopped here.
Hey, I'm hunting for something fresh for spring.
Oh, girl, skip them all. Jewelry Television has the best spring looks right now.
JTV, way ahead of you. Just hit up JTV.com yesterday. Scored the cutest clover earrings, 2 tennis bracelets, and this gorgeous pearl ring.
Right now, new customers get $20 off any purchase of $99 or more at JTV.com.
Oh, and gold hoops and this turquoise bracelet.
Just a couple things, huh?
Maybe more than a couple.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Hi, Margaret with Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano. Our St. Louis Baseball Cardinals reset last season. Now they're planning for the long term. Have you thought about a long-term plan for your family? A will, a trust, powers of attorney? Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano can guide you with a personalized estate plan. Sign up for our free webinar on our website, yourestateMatters.com. Learn more about estate planning, get some answers, list your questions, then schedule a consultation. You can plan for your family, your favorite charities, taxes, your long-term care, and even your pets now, before the courts do it for you later. Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano, yourestateMatters.com.
The choice of an attorney is an important decision and shouldn't be based solely on advertising.
Hear me out on this. Let's say, for the sake of argument, you do have a wife or a significant other.
Yeah.
There's just a huge problem in your life. And then you win a giant jackpot. Don't you feel like this is your opportunity to just leave town?
You're not going to file papers because now you're going to be legally bound to this lady.
That's what you get the lawyer for.
You're not even married and you're fantasizing about leaving your wife.
The Chris and Amy Show, weekdays starting at 9 on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It's 8:30, still ahead on Total Information AM. Our Maria Kina is going to get reaction to the Department of Justice ruling on the special school district's seclusion and restraint policies. First, let's get an update for you on the roads with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Only a couple of places where we have delays now, Megan. We still have this road work going on westbound 44 past River to Pear. The right lane is shut down, so westbound 44 has a backup near Arsenal. Other than that, it's just heavy on 64 in the Richmond Heights area. Eastbound approaching 170 to Big Bend, westbound 64 McCausland to Hanley's heavy, and south 170 bogs down at Brentwood Boulevard. But the rest of these interstates right now are looking great for you on both sides of the river. Next update at 8:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Thank you, Roger. It's going to be sunny and warmer today. Breezy this afternoon with a high of 75 degrees. An overnight low of 40 with clear skies, and sun tomorrow, but some clouds as well. And we could see a late day shower in spots. It won't be quite as warm. We're expecting a high of 66. Right now we have sunny skies, 40 degrees downtown at the Arch. And your weather comes from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk. Now a KMOX follow-up. State Representative Brad Christ has pending legislation making it possible for St. Louis County school districts to withdraw from the special school district. He spoke with our Maria Kina about the Department of Justice finding the special school district is discriminating against students with disabilities.
DOJ findings follow a nearly 2-year investigation. It determined the district's seclusion and restraint practices violate Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act by routinely subjecting students to ineffective seclusion practices that are highly susceptible to abuse and restraints without justification, rather than providing the interventions and supports that they need to receive the education that they are guaranteed by federal law. Representative Chris came up with this legislation following complaints. It had nothing to do with the DOJ's ruling.
They would have to get the school board to vote on it and pass it with a 4 of 7 vote. And then if it passed the school board of elected officials, it would then go on the ballot for the entire school district.
Christ says how a school district like Lindbergh would do this, they'd have to pitch to their school board and then to the community. What about funding for that? How would they get the resources for it to do it in-house?
So the levy, there's a levy paid right now to special school district. If the school districts were to pull special school district back into their school district, that levy would then follow the school district instead of special school district.
In effect, if enough schools do this, they could essentially defund the special school district.
Now, well, no, it would not defund the school district. One, they wouldn't have those services to pay for, say Lindbergh. They wouldn't have those teachers to pay for Lindbergh. So if they don't have the school district to serve, they don't have the cost to serve either. So it wouldn't defund the school district, but it would reform it in a way where it's not mandated countywide, and a school district could, if they wanted to. Again, this is a complete opt-in, explore leaving special school district.
I didn't mean to fund the actual school district. I meant if enough schools pulled out of or started their own in-house, then that would essentially, what purpose would the St. Louis County Special School District have if everybody pulled out of it?
Well, the special school district, I think, will always have a need for some of the more severe cases. Most of the special school districts right now are actually in the school districts, so serving the community in their local school district. But then you have 5 standalone schools for more severe cases. You have some of the tech schools. And so there would still be a need or a desire for many school districts to stay in SSD, and they would still receive a number of the levy. And there's actually a independent study done by UMSL that says for the viability of the future of SSD, they should look at actually dissolving some of the school districts that can bring it in-house and would be able to bring it in-house financially. And so there's quite a bit of research on this, and the special school district's operating at almost a $50 to $60 million deficit right now. So there's reform needed. I've always said, I don't know if this is the answer, but the status quo is not what the answer is. So we filed this legislation to start that process and see if we can't find a middle ground that everybody can work on. But I'm still pretty confident in the legislation.
Maria Kina, KMOX News.
Larry Older here. One of the most rewarding parts of sharing Relief Factor with you is hearing real stories like that of Sandra. She tells us, I've been hearing about Relief Factor on the radio for a couple of years, and I finally decided to try it because nothing else was helping my back pain. I know the feeling. With a 3-week quick start, she said, I went for it. Now I feel like a new person. That's Sandra's own words, and it's so gratifying to hear. I've told you about my brother Kirk having difficulty going up and down the stairs in the morning. He wouldn't listen to me. I told him to take Relief Factor. He finally did. Began moving better, feeling stronger. Too bad he didn't listen earlier. Try it for yourself. The 3-week quick start. And see how Relief Factor could be your game changer too. It is only $19.95. Think about it. Do the math. Less than $1 a day. So call 800-4RELIEF. That's 800, the number 4RELIEF, or go to relieffactor.com. All one word, relieffactor.com. How will it feel to be out of pain? 800-4RELIEF, relieffactor.com.
Your Money Report now, sponsored by Eamon Gantner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys. Here's Bloomberg's Courtney Donahoe.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Block is cutting 4,000 of its employees, reducing its workforce by nearly half, all because of artificial intelligence. Jack Dorsey is a co-founder of the tech and financial services company, whose entities include Square and the Cash App. Dorsey says he actually thinks a lot of companies will ultimately have to make similar moves due to AI. A blow to the Ohio farm industry. A fire at a farm outside Columbus killed 6,000 hogs and pigs. The fire chief there says the large farm complex was used for hog production, consisting of 5 large agricultural buildings. Shares of Duolingo are down as much as 25% in pre-market trading over AI concerns. Investors are worried that growth will slow down as the technology makes it easier for people to translate and communicate in different languages. Duolingo plans to launch new AI-powered lesson plans and offer more video call options to subscribers. Matt Piper, Bloomberg Radio.
Attention health and emergency professionals. When disaster strikes, communities need calm voices and skilled professionals ready to respond. That's why investing in your disaster behavioral health skills matters. Join us March 16th through 18th in Columbia for the Disaster Behavioral Health Conference. Learn practical tools, hear from expert speakers, and strengthen the skills people count on in times of crisis. Register today. Search Disaster Behavioral Health Conference, Missouri. Brought to you by the Department of Mental Health's Office of Disaster Services.
Dreaming of college but worried about the cost? The Together Foundation is here to help. The Together Foundation is awarding 5 $1,500 scholarships to St. Louis area students who are ready to take the next step toward their future. Applying is simple, but time is limited, as applications will be accepted through March 31st. Learn more or apply at togethercu.org/scholarship. That's togethercu.org/scholarship. This community message has been brought to you by Together Credit Union.
Celebrate jazz legend John Coltrane with the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra in a special one-night-only event, Coltrane 100 Legacy. Celebrate Coltrane's creative genius through powerful orchestral arrangements of his most groundbreaking works. Curated and arranged by acclaimed composer Carlos Simon, this performance features saxophone icon Joe Lovano in a journey from Coltrane's early classics to his late visionary masterpieces. It's jazz, symphony, and legacy, all in one unforgettable night with your St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. February 28th at 7:30 p.m. at Powell Hall. Tickets at slso.org.
Is your furnace on its last legs? Don't wait for a cold night to find out. Jerry Kelley and KMOX are giving you the chance to win a brand new furnace this winter season. Just go online to KMOX.com/contest through March 1st and nominate someone who you think deserves a brand new furnace. Sponsored by Jerry Kelley Heating and Air Conditioning. Win a brand new furnace. For more information and contest rules, just head to KMOX.com/contest.
This is 104.1 FM KMOX. Here's what's happening. The U.S. Embassy in Israel has told its staff they can leave the country and urged anyone considering departure to do so immediately as the threat of an American strike on Iran looms. A public showdown between the Trump administration and Anthropic hitting an impasse as military officials demand the artificial intelligence company bend ethical policies by Friday or risk damaging its business relationship. And a federal judge says the IRS broke the law by illegally sharing thousands of taxpayers' addresses with Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Let's see if things are winding down on the roads. Roger Brand is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
There's not too much to be concerned about out there right now, Megan. They still have the road work going on. Westbound 44 at River to Pear, right lanes blocked. Traffic's backed up through Jamison, not quite back to Arsenal, it doesn't look like right now. Other than that, it's just a little slow in the Richmond Heights area. Southbound 170 from the Parkway down to 64 and eastbound 64 from 170 to about Big Bend. But otherwise, interstate travel for you on both sides of the river is not a problem. I'm Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Time for the Friday edition of Hancock and Kelley.
You two belong together.
John Hancock, Michael Kelley on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Good morning to you, John Hancock.
What's cooking, big dog?
Well, it's going to be 70-something degrees today, 70-something degrees tomorrow.
Can't wait.
And then they're talking about ice, rain, and snow on Sunday.
Well, there you have it. That's living in St. Louis.
Well, that's what they call February/March in St. Louis. Isn't that right? And
yeah.
Speaking of March,
yes.
I associate March with the boys of summer getting started down there in Jupiter, Florida. Yeah. And I got to tell you, man, for a bunch of guys I don't know who's playing, this team's put up a couple of wins down there.
Yeah, they're hitting the ball pretty well. Of course, spring training offense is a little deceptive because by the time you're into the fifth inning, you're probably not facing big league pitching anymore. So people sometimes get a little exuberant for what they see in the spring. But that means some good signs for this team. Big home run by Alec Burleson yesterday. And, I think this team's going to be, pretty good.
Yeah, you're not necessarily bullish, but you feel good that this team's going to outperform what we believe might happen.
Yeah, I do. And I also think that, they're on the right track here. And they've got so much. They built up the farm system very impressively. And, next 3 years, I think they'll be fighting for a World Series.
Well, you used the expression right track, and so did the President of the United States on Tuesday at the State of the Union. He says the country's on the right track despite plummeting polling, continued rising of prices, wars all around the world. We saw one of the most divisive, I think was the most divisive State of the Union addresses. Not necessarily what was said, just the way that both sides were reacting with each other. Any take on the longest a State of the Union address in American history.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway from that speech, and I actually watched it, is the dearth of actual policy proposals. Usually the State of the Union speech, the president tells folks how great of a job he's done. That's every president does that. And then they outline their policy objectives and goals for the future. And there just wasn't very much of that in that speech the other night.
No, not at all. And there seemed to be a lot of personal slams at the Democrats. Of course, there's always a little chiding of each side.
Sure.
But I'd never seen a president speak from that lectern the way that he did about these people are sick. They're messed up. And I don't want to sound so Pollyannish, but I just don't like it. I didn't like the Democrats booing or yelling things at him, holding up signs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember this happening in my life until we had Barack Obama as the president and Joe Wilson yelled out, "You lied." And ever since then, we've had a degradation of decorum at the State of the Union that makes us look more like Parliament in Britain than the majesty of what the State of the Union's been in the past.
Yeah, I mean, that was a civic event that was for many, many, many decades was used to help unite the country. The president would ascend to the podium and be applauded and recognized and give remarks. And I think those days are gone. I don't know that we'll ever get back to that.
Yeah, and it kind of goes to what I think it's driving more people into apathy as it relates to engagement in government.
Without a doubt.
Because, you and I've lamented for years here, what's happening is that we're only seeing people on the far left and the far right, true believers out there participating, and less of the normal folks, middle America, that's just not participating, which in fact, by them opting out of the process, is driving even further extremes.
It does. And because an ever smaller universe of folks are picking the nominees in primary elections, and 85% of the time, the outcome of the November election is already determined.
Yeah.
So you've got a very small percentage of the population, as small as, if you look at 15%, 16% vote in the Democratic primary, 18% vote in the Republican primary, and then they're picking the office holders.
This week, we've seen the buildup of the military in the Middle East, unlike anything we've seen since the Gulf War and the invasion of Iraq. President Trump didn't spend much time talking about Iran. He's got 2 aircraft carrier groups out there. The one thing that seems strange to me, John, is if you think back to whether it be after 9/11 or when we went into Iraq, there was a coalition push to get our allies behind us. That's not the case. Our European allies and most of the world are sitting on the sidelines watching what we're up to in Iran. What's your take here? Do you think we're going to be bombing, potentially trying to take over Iran?
Yeah, I don't know. Taking it over, what would that even look like?
Right.
Nation building for us in Afghanistan and Iraq has not worked well. And I don't know what's going on with Venezuela right now, but I don't know. But you're correct that the United States is a lone actor right now in all of those conflicts, and that is a consistent position as it relates to Donald Trump's foreign policy. Now, a lot of people thought, America first meant we weren't going to engage in a lot of wars. In
That's
fact,
what he said.
Campaigned on.
That's what he said.
But it's clear that building, cultivating, deploying alliances is not part of this administration's foreign policy plans.
Dude, there's just so much happening. It's almost impossible to stuff this all into a conversation. But we also have the Epstein files, which continue to linger and will linger. I don't think this is ever going away until we see everything. We saw former First Lady and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton testifying before the commission the other day. Of course, it kind of spiraled into a little bit of a party spat. But Hillary Clinton's like, wait a minute, I'm here answering questions. I've never even met this man. And then they went down Pizzagate and UFOs and a bunch of other places with her.
Right.
But there is a president and a first lady in the White House right now who are mentioned extensively in the Epstein files. And how come you're not interviewing them? Is this turning into a political food fight? Or do you think that most Americans are still where I think you and I are, which is who cares who's guilty here?
Just put it out there.
Get them.
Right. I mean, because at its core, this is not so much a political thing as it is the largest human sex trafficking ring in world history. And it's disgusting. It's despicable. And people who are guilty in this thing ought to be prosecuted.
Let's step aside and we'll refocus back on some local issues after this on the Hancock and Kelley Show.
Renewal by Andersen is the #1 window and door brand for customer service. Schedule your free inspection today. Call 877-WINDOWS. That's 877-WINDOWS. Or head to rbastl.com.
John, the president's polling numbers continue to plummet. He's at the lowest numbers that we've seen a president in I think in polling history. And this is in the midst of the lead up to the midterm elections. You and I have spent a lot of time here saying that everything's kind of stalemated in Missouri. We kind of know who's going to win.
Yeah.
But when you have a president's polling dropping the way he is, Texas is now in play for the Democrats on the Senate.
Yep.
The governor's race in Florida looks like it could go Democrat. Should a suburban congresswoman like Ann Wagner be nervous that this polling, even though she's in what's considered to be a somewhat safe district for Republicans, could she find herself in jeopardy?
Well, maybe. I sort of doubt it. But, I mean, that's the kind of a seat that you lose when the bottom falls out. And maybe that's what's happening. It's early yet. But and the other factor, of course, is whether she's going to be running in the old district lines or in the newly drawn district lines, because the newly drawn lines, that district becomes a lot more rural than it is currently constructed, and that would be to her benefit.
Yeah, the other major story that's going on, our mayor, Kara Spencer, out really using her bully pulpit to say, hey, wait a minute, I'm all for policing. The police board came in as a result of the appointments of Mike Kehoe.
Yep.
They've given the police a raise. I think everything we can all support. Giving the police a raise in the city of St. Louis automatically gives the firefighters a raise as well. And now she's looking at nearly $100 million that she didn't have budgeted to be able to pay for this stuff.
Yeah, how does that work? So you've got this independent police board made up of city residents, and they govern that department, including the compensation, right?
Yep.
And the number of officers that they're going to. So they're able to appropriate funds, essentially, outside of the realm of the mayor. That seems, I guess it was like that for a century. But I've never seen a situation quite like this before.
Right. And it's on top of the fact that we have all these water pipes breaking in St. Louis,
right.
$700 million worth of construction that needs to take place on pipes. We've got a potential investment in an airport. We're still having some issues with the trash and paving roads. And then we get this story yesterday from the St. Louis Business Journal that most St. Louis attractions haven't recovered from pre-pandemic crowds. Probably not a shock that the Cardinals aren't getting as many people as they have. I don't think that's related to post-pandemic. I think that's probably more related to
the quality of play.
Mm-hmm. But the zoo, the Arch, Union Station, the Science Center, the Magic House, all of these places are seeing declining attendance. And you know, the excuses are coming out, right? That this is about, well, it's about the weather, it's about the culture that's going on right now in St. Louis. Do you buy that?
No. We're also losing population.
Hello.
And there is a perceived crime concern that people have, especially going into the city. But I think those two factors together probably explain a lot of this. But, you know, if you think about the folks that go to the Arch, and tourists do, obviously, but, you know, St. Louisans do. And there's fewer of us now than there was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And so it stands to reason.
Well, and you couple that with the national and, for that matter, state and regional narrative that exists about St. Louis, that there's this unsafe feeling,
right?
That we don't necessarily have. We maybe have a little bit of lawlessness going on. Ness Sandoval is a professor here at Washington University.
We've had him on the air.
Yeah, and he's been focused for quite a while explaining that the population of St. Louis is deteriorating. St. Louis County, for the first time in history, has more people over the age of 60 than they have under the age of 19. The city of St. Louis, in my lifetime, I've watched it go from 800,000 people to just over 225. This is not a good story for St. Louis. The only way a region thrives and grows, like Nashville, like Austin, is that you're bringing more people in. And we're not only not seeing more people coming in, we're seeing people leave.
Well, and if you look at the last St. Louis had an appreciable surge of residents was the Bosnian 30 some years ago.
Immigrants.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah. And immigration has almost always been key to urban development. Anywhere in the country, New York, Chicago, it's immigration that brings people into that urban core, living, raising their family, moving up the economic rung, aspiring for the American dream. And when you basically put a halt on immigration, which is kind of where we are in this country right now. I mean, there's some H-1Bs and some, very specific immigration for job filling, but widespread immigration in this country has been essentially halted. And that's going to have a really bad impact on the population of urban centers like St. Louis. And, outside of immigration, the only way you're going to bring an influx of people in is if you start attracting and luring corporate headquarters here and whole lots of people coming in for that reason. And that's not likely to happen as long as you've got an airport that you can't get from here to there easily anywhere.
Preach, my friend. Well, let's finish on some happy stuff.
All right.
I, like me, I think got caught up in watching the women win the gold medal in hockey over in Italy.
Man, that team was amazing.
Yeah. I mean,
they were amazing.
And maybe like women's soccer, maybe the most successful, worldwide sports programs out there, women's soccer in the United States and women's hockey.
Yeah.
The women's hockey's now won as many gold medals as the men's hockey has, and they haven't only been playing women's hockey for a couple, 3 decades.
Right.
And then we, of course, had that incredible game last week that took place with the men's hockey going into overtime, and a lot of St. Louisans on that roster, including the two Kachucks.
Yeah.
And they brought it home. And it was, of course, it's now kind of diminished into a political conversation, mainly driven by our president. But it was great to see us all not divided around politics and united around America.
No, yes, that's right. My favorite takeaway from that game was that the Canadian goalie plays for the St. Louis Blues and the American goalie plays for the Winnipeg Jets, so that's kind of the way that works. But to have the best athletes in the world competing against one another is something that that's not an NHL game. That's the best of the best of the best going head to head against one another. And that game, the speed of it, the precision of it, it was a pleasure to watch.
Some incredible news coming out of Jupiter, Florida. Heard that our, esteemed catcher Yadier Molina is down there helping that team out.
Yep.
And now the news that John Hancock will be going down to Jupiter, Florida to also participate in helping the boys of summer get ready.
Yes.
Are you excited to get down there and check out this ball club?
I can't wait. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the facilities because they've completely redone it. It's been a few years since I've been. And thank you, Michael Kelley, for letting me stay at your place. I'll be down there for a few days with our NFL insider, John Hancock.
Good for you.
So we're going to have a lot of fun. Well, it's Chris and Amy next. Amy is out. She's a little under the weather. I'll stick around for the whole time right here on KMOX.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Health Trends, sponsored by Ethos.
There are benefits from drinking bone broth. It's a nutritious, hydrating, and potentially gut-healing food, but it's not a miracle cure.